Hello and welcome to the second round of the Australian Open tournament, a four-player tournament. But today I'm actually not alone. I'm joined by one of my opponents, Pitor. Welcome, Pitor.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was my idea to actually ask Weidenbaum for this co-op, and he accepted it. So very interested to see what how it will be.
No, I think those co-op analysis videos are always quite interesting, and yeah, I think I did now also quite some of those videos with different other players and content creators. And as you are now a very active player and also content creator, I think it's great that I have now you on my channel. But you are actually not part of the community for very long. You only started maybe a half a year ago, or when did you start playing the game exactly, and how did you get to know the game?
Well, I know very well when I started playing in the app because I was actually moving, and then my computer was like offline for a bit while moving and doing everything. So it was in October. So yeah, like 5 months ago around
No,
when I started. And before that, I have the board game, or rather, my roommate had the board game. So we played like maybe three games or something, and he also plays online. Uh, so he was already playing in the app, and then he was like, "Yeah, let's play some on the app because, of course, yeah, I live somewhere different now, and it's harder to play the game, and so I started, and yeah, found Weidenbaum as one of the first things, and yeah, I always very much enjoy talking about strategy and all these things, so I quickly just joined Discord and everything and started making my own videos.
no.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great that you got that active so quickly, and also you played quite well so far. So and the last Clico update got released some days ago, and I think you managed to go up to position 70. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna make a joke like Weidenbaum now is okay with co-oping with me because now I finally got into the top 100 Glicko.
Yeah,
Of course, no, but before this I didn't have a Glicko basically.
yeah, that's the secret requirement. You can only be part of
Game.
the video when you're on the top 100 of the clicker rating. um, no, but you got
Yeah,
there very
yeah.
quickly, so that shows that you have been pulling off some good results so far. Of course, in some of the leagues, you have to start at the bottom, so it will be very interesting to see now when you more and more face maybe one of the other strong players, how that will go. So, yeah.
For sure, yeah. And some of these tournaments is definitely my favorite because yeah, not been playing in the highest divisions, but now I have the chance to play some really strong people, so it's always fun.
Yeah, and when now that you just mentioned it, this tournament is the Australian Open. And for those of you who don't know the tournament, it's a four-player only tournament, and it's also in KO mode. So basically, I think it started with 256 players. Every player plays one four-player game, and then the top two positions at the end move on to the next round. So half of the players gets eliminated in each round, and then at some point there are only four players left, and they will play the final for the winner of the tournament. It's a tournament that has already been held, I think, for 4 or 5 times or something like this. So, and they often some strong players are joining, which is nice. And yeah, we are in the second round, so all of the players already managed to one time finish in the first two positions. And our two opponents in this game are ciufile and amaj. Amaj is actually my opponent also in the current World Championship stage, so my viewers should maybe know that player already. ciufile I also played against, I think, already, but I can't say for certain when it was. I have now played for that many years, so that it's more and more difficult to recall when I played against which player. So, but I think I encountered ciufile before, and I think he might have also already featured my channel. So that is the
Have you
setup
played
for
me
the
before?
tournament. Sorry.
Have you played me before?
Only in friendly games. So I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
was our first tournament game. So that was, of course, also exciting. And yeah, I would say with that we can maybe start with taking a look at the game and first of all at leaders and wonders maybe quickly. And um, how much do you take a look at those leaders and wonders before you start playing the game?
I mean, of course, I'm a Weidenbaum viewer, so to do it. In my head, I just be like, oh yeah, Pierre with internet, of course, and I just have your your thing going on in my head. But no, I think it's quite important to have a little bit of an overview. It depends, of course, how much effort I put into a game. But like in a friendly game, I take a quick glance, and in a World Championship game, I do take note of the different synergies definitely. And
Yeah.
the thing that I notice here is, of course, the Pierre and the Silk Road. So I already know exactly if there's going to be bread and circuses, Weidenbaum will be all over it.
That's true, and the Silk Road will be heavily contested by me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, maybe we can quickly go through what we see here. We have on the left quite a bunch of lab leaders with Steve Jobs, Sid Meier, Bill Gates, Marie Curie. There's also spaceflight and internet, so definitely some synergy for that type of play. Then for the military, there's Churchill and Gandhi, but no Manhattan Project. And as you mentioned, there's Pierre together with the internet. The Red Cross is there. In H2, we have Ocean Liner Service, Maria Theresa. Cook and the Suez Canal, so some colonization payoff. We have Anthony Gaudi and Darwin as some culture leaders in H3, not a single theater leader, but there is the Hollywood, so who knows, maybe something in that direction could work, but not really the greatest synergy. Then we have Newton for some strong economical setup, one military act or two military action leaders, one in H1 with Jan Žižka, Barbarossa and Nostradamus to help with the strength, Gutenberg and Leonardo for some lab and printing press synergy, Columbus maybe for a colonization setup, and then the Silk Road and Universitas, the Great Wall, but no Michi Castle, and the Machu Picchu, the two big happy face illusion wonders, St. Peter's Basilica and Forbidden City are missing. And now, is there anything else that stands out especially for you here?
Well, one thing I definitely very much always think about is the H1 leaders, if they're more sort of, I call it front load or transitional leaders.
Yeah,
It's like, can you pick them up relatively quickly, or do you rather want them a little bit later? Because that also really indicates what kind of HA leaders I like.
that's
So
true. Yes.
I see like Columbus, Barbarossa, Gutenberg, like mostly those three. Then I'm like, okay, I really want maybe Ashoka more, Boudica more, Hammurabi more. Also, I think about Michelangelo. I look at the wonders, of course, and I see there's a lot of great wonders for it. So yeah, definitely some stuff. But yeah, the H1 leaders are where I usually focus on the most, and H2 I should probably focus on more than I did. But I've been more flexible lately, where I also can take the culture leaders.
That's
I'm
good
known
thing.
for not going for any culture, so that's nice. So I have some options now.
Yeah.
Take them into account a little bit more.
All right. So now we have a nice overview here, and I'm in the first position, and I think it's relatively straightforward for me. I take the engineering genius. Of course, I could think about Caesar. Maybe if one of the others then takes Hammurabi, that could be fine. But I don't know yet if I get the Colossus or not. And if I don't get the Colossus, then I think playing Caesar against the Colossus is a bit awkward, and you see a lot of events, but a player with the Colossus might just benefit more from them. And so I just took the engineering genius. It should be very likely that I get one of those three leaders at the next turn. And if all of them should be taken away, then there should be the Acropolis available for one civil action, meaning that I could take the Acropolis and use the engineering genius in the first step, build a mine and increase my population, so I could spend all of my 4 civil actions in an efficient way. And with that, it maybe would be not too bad, but I expected to get one of those leaders, not Hammurabi, but either Caesar or Homer could be available for me. Then ciufile will just go for Hammurabi. Amaj goes for Caesar, urban growth, and frugality. So I'm just taking Caesar and 2 yellow cards, which is fine. On the other hand, Caesar Colossus could have been maybe also interesting, but I guess 2 yellow cards are also not too bad. Then we are at your turn, and yeah, what did you consider here?
Yeah, I mean, Like I said, I considered that there's still some Boudica and Ashoka for my player 4, which are very strong leaders, and I can keep them around for a long time for the H1 leader. So I really wanted to kind of just go and take the library, which I think is stronger than any other wonder here. And then I can take the yellow card to set up for maybe Ashoka, or I can set up for Boudica when, there is Caesar, but generally not really anything else. I'm expecting you to take Homer probably. So yeah, the other choice would be maybe like Homer Colossus, but on fourth player Colossus that didn't seem so great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think library is a fine pick here, even though in such a colony game I maybe would consider Colossus, but maybe I would at the end also go for the
Yeah,
library. So
definitely
I think
the
that's
Suez was a little bit of a reason, but yeah.
no. But library is just extremely solid, and there are some leaders, and they also show up on the row now. So Sansu, Alex, Ashoka, and Boudica are showing up. It's my turn. I have 2 wonders available for 1 civil action and 1 leader. I don't think there's anything that I'm willing to pay an additional civil action for here. And as I just mentioned, with that colonization synergy and also with Amai having Caesar, as I said, having the Colossus in a Caesar game is quite strong, also if you are not the one playing Caesar. So I felt like the Colossus is the better pick here than the Acropolis. And Homer, I generally I like him quite a bit. I think I like him a bit more than some of the other top players.
Same.
And so I
Yeah, I
was,
remember that I put it relatively high.
and
Sorry.
then I will just build my mine, increase my population. I don't have to elect him yet, and just having a free population, especially because with the Colossus, if I should draw an event, I ideally want to push, so having that free population is more important than electing Homer already here. And I also do draw an event, a call to arms, and a colonization card. Ciufile goes for Hammurabi
Oh,
and builds the 3rd mine. Alright, we are back, hopefully with a stable internet connection. Maybe we could invite Pierre into the chat because he works quite well with the internet. And and yeah, we are here Jufile's turn. He went for Hammurabi, built a mine, increased his population. There's an early Universitas coming down the road. The thing is, Amai also hasn't committed to a wonder yet, so either Jufile would need to take it for 3, or there would be the chance that it could be taken away by Amai. So Jufile just goes for the Acropolis and the urban growth. Amai goes for Caesar, builds the 3rd mine, and interestingly goes for the Hanging Gardens over the Universitas. I think an early Universitas is quite strong. However, with Caesar and maybe wanting to set up something military heavy, the Hanging Gardens could actually be quite useful. So there are certainly some arguments for it. And then we are at your turn, and you have some leaders to choose from.
yeah, there's mainly for me Boudica Ashoka, like mentioned before. And honestly, I don't really know what is like the best move. There's like uh, reason for both. Boudica might even be stronger. I was just a little bit scared of maybe, and I don't know if this is like rightfully so, but I was a little bit scared that you with your Homer and Colossus would build it relatively fast, or maybe even despite me, build like a warrior for relatively cheap. Um, and then my Boudica would be maybe awkward sometimes. I just think Ashoka is a very strong leader in general, but I also think Boudica is very strong. But yeah, I was thinking the food from Ashoka can make me. I was thinking this game will probably go into military heavy quite fast, and then I thought the food from the Ashoka would make me more flexible, basically.
Yeah.
What do you think? Actually, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell. Of course, the additional military resource from Boudica could also end up being useful if the event deck indeed flips
Exactly.
very quickly. But I mean, Ashoka allows for that very nice taking him, electing him, and then taking a card from the row that I don't spoil yet. But I guess the viewers know now already what I'm speaking about. And Boudica,
Right. The odd.
if you do that with her and
The,
then get the military resources, it's maybe a bit annoying. So I think Ashoka is a fine pick here.
there was also one more thing which is interesting. Is I really like Ashoka into Barbarossa.
Yeah.
Because you get the extra food going. But of course, everyone else can take it too. But you get the extra food going, and then yeah, that's pretty strong.
That's true. That's and Barbarossa is generally a leader, I would say, where it can be quite worthwhile to set yourself up for him. All right, and then you took that iron for 2 civil actions.
Yeah, that was I already kind of forgot about it a little bit, but yeah, the iron is of course a nice touch that you can just get this iron and don't really lose anything
Yeah.
for it. And yeah, then you just have an early iron, which then I can just go into that at some point. Yeah.
No, and sometimes when you build a second lab at the next turn, you can maybe even try to build the third mine directly as an iron mine, so even
Yeah.
saving a civil action in the project. So I think that can be quite an interesting start, which could get disrupted in case the game turns out to be a
Yeah,
bit military heavy. So that's always the downside of the iron, but still, I think
that's definitely true.
getting that early iron is still just so potentially powerful that I think it's still the correct move to do it here.
Maybe lastly, and I'll try to not make everything so long, but the one problem with Ashoka is usually that of course you make a lot of resource, but maybe your science gets a bit low. But I also have the library to make that up a bit. Boudica can give you some science, which is nice, but with the library, maybe I'm in a little bit better position to get some science going, even when we're going uh, military heavy.
That's true. With Ashoka and the library, you can have an additional food, resource, and science production. So, in terms of balancing stuff out, that can work quite well. At my turn, I seed a call to arms into the deck. I have the Colossus and Homer, so I was confident enough to do it. The development of markets are revealed, which also allows me to play the turn a bit more efficiently. I take the 2 additional resources, and it allows me to not only build a second lab, but also build a step of the engineering genius, of the Colossus with the engineering genius. And I could also not do it, for example, just elect Homer and maybe take 1 card for 2 civil actions. I was especially looking at the monarchy, especially with the Colossus. I think getting a third military action before you get the first H2 draws from the Colossus is quite nice, so that you don't have to discard all of the cards, and maybe. But I didn't find a nice way to set up a revolution here. I don't have a lot of additional science, so at the end I didn't like it too much to invest 2 civil actions into taking that monarchy, and I could take the cultural heritage, but it also didn't feel that great, and at the end I just decided to play my actions very efficiently here, and thanks to the development of markets, I can build a lab, I elect Homer, I increase my population, and I use the engineering genius to build the first step of the Colossus. Of course, I go very early into consumption like that. That's certainly a downside, but at the end, I liked that more than taking a card for 2 civil actions that I think is not really worth 2 civil actions here. Now I draw 2 more events, the Good Harvest and the Developed Territory. Ciufile Seeds, the development of religion is revealed, so I do actually get rewarded for increasing my population and going into consumption early. Ciufile can also take the free religion, which is nice for the Acropolis, and both Ciufile and Amai didn't go for the Universitas as a first wonder, but Ciufile can now take it as a second wonder still, which might still work out well for him, even though it is a bit expensive, of course, so he might need some turns to finish it. Amai, with having Caesar Seeds, the development of politics is revealed, and with that it should now be very likely that he has a second event card to play, and he indeed seeds again, so the event deck is moving forward as quickly as possible so far. The development of
Oh yeah.
planning, the
Now I
development
remember this game again. Yeah.
the development of planning is revealed with the options of development of crafts, agriculture, and settlements. So I think often the development of settlement will be the best choice here, unless you can do something really good with the resources. Amai actually takes the resources. I guess with the Hanging Gardens, he has already a decent amount of population. He will actually finish the Hanging Gardens, interestingly, and increases his population, so it's delaying the second lab. I'm not sure if it is worth it. On the other hand, the event deck is
Yeah,
flipping
I don't
so.
like that at all.
Yeah, especially having 3 happy faces that early is really not needed. On the other hand, if the event deck is flipping now extremely quickly, maybe sometimes it can be worthwhile to skip the second lab to go some very aggressive early play. Maybe if he has the right cards for that, but otherwise, I think I also would probably like it more to build a second lab here.
Yeah, the second lab for me is just yeah, you double your science.
That's true. I don't want say anything against that. And the first action, as I can see here, of your turn is also to actually build a second lab. So, what were your thoughts on that turn?
Right. I mean, I was trying to just get my Ashoka going a little bit, so I was thinking probably just take this monarchy, and then yeah, just get the third mine also, because now the religion is already out, so the only thing that is still in is like the warrior. And I also think always, like, even if the warrior gets revealed, there's only 2 cards left. Sometimes you can even get first an event that makes you able to increase your population as well. So I didn't really mind it too much. So just went for a pretty nice economic turn. Now, of course, the downside is that I will maybe get the some seeded some events seeded on amaj turn where I'm like the weakest, but I didn't really see a nice way to get stronger. The fourth player curse, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely a situation where the fourth player is at a disadvantage, and yeah, I think it's a very solid economical turn. At the next turn, you have just enough resource to finish the library, and hopefully, from your point of view, there won't be any strength events revealed. Maybe at the next turn, you can try to react and build up some strength.
That's what I was hoping for, yeah.
And you and you also reveal a tactic, the phalanx, so maybe wanting to keep some other cards in hand.
Yeah, I right now I have 2 defense card and the triple and a heavy cavalry tactic. So I thought I'll just keep the 2 defense cards here. I thought that you would probably like to see some territories or things, and I can actually bid on it.
No. So having defense cards when Asu is in the game and when Caesar is in play, I think is certainly not bad. So now, at my turn, I seed. I could seed a colony here. I have to develop territory in hand, but I decide not to commit yet because I went very early into consumption, and then sending some units away for colonies in a game that might get military heavy could be problematic. But on the other hand, maybe I could also try it with having the Colossus. At the end, I went for the good harvest to maybe make a little bit up for the early consumption that I went into, and the development of science is revealed. And this turn I will finish the Colossus. I think finishing that is quite nice, as the event deck might likely already flip it for my next turn and some events might be revealed, so I'm now better prepared for strength events and colonies. And now there are some interesting cards available in the one civil action area that I could certainly consider here. There's now the chance to take a monarchy for 1 as well as the cultural heritage, so that's why I didn't want to take those cards for 2 at the turn before, because they can also just be available for cheaper now. And there's also a copy of Alchemy. I think especially the Alchemy I would kind of normally really like to take here. But I think it's a bit of a special game. The event deck is moving forward extremely quickly. And also with Homer, of course, it's quite nice if you maybe can replace him quickly. And with that, I at the end decided to go for Nostradamus and actually elect him already, so that when I then have full knowledge about the event deck after the next one, which I think is always a nice feat. And I just have the Nostradamus strength already available in case I might get stronger or some other players get stronger. So I have Nostradamus now available for this very event seeding heavy game so far. But I was not completely certain because skipping this alchemy for 1 is a bit expensive. Maybe I could also just take Nostradamus in hand and take the alchemy. But I was hoping that I get another chance of improving my economy, and I just valued it to already have Nostradamus in play and get a little bit of knowledge when there will now be a lot of events seeded. And of course, if I'm going for a new leader, there's also opening up another option, and I have now the option to take the Taj Mahal here. The question is, of course, if it is the right choice to do it here, and I'm on bronze mines. I have not a lot of resources, so at first look doesn't look too great to take the Taj Mahal here. But some wonders are already gone. Universitas is taken. Silk Road will be discarded. Machu Picchu and Great Wall are left. I have the medieval army tactic drawn, so maybe the Great Wall is not too great, especially with already having 2 happy faces. Maybe not needing the happy face as much. And the Machu Picchu could be fine, but I have neither iron nor irrigation so far. So I felt like the other H1 wonders are not, I don't necessarily need to take them. And I also have 1 event in hand, which is the new deposits. So I also felt like with that event, I hopefully will end up having enough resources to maybe get a Taj Mahal without it delaying my other things that I want to do too much. And I was hoping with you having the first copy of Iron, I might have a decent chance of getting the second or third one. And with that, I actually decided to pick the Taj Mahal here. I also decided to use Homer's resource to build a warrior. There might be colonies coming, there might be strength events coming. So I thought building this warrior for one resource should be fine, despite having that medieval army tactic. And I went for the Taj Mahal, and we will see how that will work out for me. But I think there were some reasons to pick it up here.
Yeah, without the new deposits, would you ever pick this?
I think it would get less likely. Maybe I would still do so, but it was already close, so I think that new deposits
Yeah.
might be the tipping point. So it's
Because you're probably also, it's gonna be tough. Like just like for me, getting into this iron will already be tough. I guess I guess you already have +5 on your strength, so I guess you can just go economic,
yeah.
and if you get iron, you can actually just go build it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I have now already some setup for my strength, so I can focus maybe more on economy in the next turns. And I revealed a medieval army tactic because I want to keep some cards in hand with Nostradamus. I even decide to, which is maybe a bit controversial, to discard my defense card here in order to keep both the developed territory and the new deposits to allow for as much seeding as possible. On the other hand, with the Suez Canal in the game, maybe I
Oh,
should keep.
very interesting, actually. Yeah, this will might come up later.
Yeah, so I maybe should have kept the colonization card here. Also, with the Suez Canal in the game, maybe I shouldn't pick the Taj Mahal here. But anyway, I decide to throw my
Yeah, because
colonization card away.
if
And
you have the territory in hand, maybe you want to see it. You maybe want to send up off some guys that also cost rocks, of course. So yeah,
yeah,
it is probably difficult to make this work. Also, I don't really care about personally. I'm kind of interested that you kind of feel the need to always get a H1 wonder, because I very often just skip an H1 wonder. But I'm also one that also just goes double alchemy into no iron, and then just that's usually my play style. But
no,
I
I
don't care about it too much, the
no, I
H1
think it's
wonder.
it's also fine. You don't necessarily need an H1 wonder, but if you get a strong one going, I think it's quite fine. And so I mean, there's an ocean liner service in the game. With those wonders in H2, I think that can certainly backfire with the Taj Mahal here. So I think that those new deposits and you having the iron, so being the player in front
Yeah,
of
yeah.
me, really, I think that was what at the end made me take the Taj Mahal here. Maybe also to just try out some stuff because I haven't used that
Zero
wonder in a
percent.
year, as you as you might know. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I was like, no, he betrayed me, because I'm always bashing the Taj Mahal in 4 players. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
now
let's
I mean we will
continue.
see how that will work for me. All right, truthfully seeds and opens the development of warfare. From now on, of course, I see what my opponent seeds, and truthfully seeds the pestilence into the deck, so that might offset my good harvest a little bit that I have put in. Truthfully starts working on the Universitas, builds another step, can finish it at the next turn, and takes the cultural heritage. Interestingly, doesn't pick up the monarchy here. That would work nicely with either Hammurabi or the Acropolis, but the additional signs from cultural heritage is of course also not bad to have. Amai seeds the cultural influence into the deck. The call to arms is revealed, so you actually do get hit by a strength event, and as we will see at your turn, I do think that's actually a bit annoying for you, losing those 2 civil actions.
When is
And
that not annoying to lose 2 civil actions on this turn?
when you have a 9 civil action republic sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, it's especially annoying, I think, in this situation for you. And
We have Ashoka and everyone is seeding, and then you get hit by -2 civil actions. Here I was like, oh my god, what is this gonna be? But yeah.
yeah, so Amai seeds the second card. The second card is especially interesting because now he seeds the vast territory 1 into the deck, so he's committing to a heavy colony here. And the Crusades are revealed, which I am able to win, so that's nice. Also, you managed to dodge them quite nicely because you only lose 1 culture because you haven't scored more
Yeah.
culture yet. So nicely having played
And
around
my,
that
my
event.
playstyle is already paying off.
That's
The
true,
zero
yes.
culture playstyle.
And yeah, then Amai will use the frugality, builds the second lab now, takes the Silk Road, so that I of course can approve, even though it is a bit expensive for him with being on low civil action. So we will see how that will work. And then we are at your turn, and you sadly have only 2 civil actions to work with, which is annoying because you could have finished the library here. So what did you do to get out of this mess?
Now, first of all, I have 4 defense cards in my hand right now.
Ui.
And the heavy cavalry. I just thought I should mention that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we try to get out of corruption, um, and try to be able to get stronger for next turn. But this turn, I just, yeah, get my. Also, I don't have a population to build a warrior, but I guess it's okay. I increase my population, build a warrior, and I just take the swordman to yeah, set up for a little bit of strength next turn. And then I was praying to God to that I would not get hit by a million more things, of course, because I would love to just play the swordsman right now and get up to like 4 or whatever. But of course I can't. So that's like the nasty circle where you just get hit and then you might get hit again and again. So let's see.
Yeah, so I think that certainly was quite a setback here, that call to arms. Let's see if there will be no more strength events revealed. I, at this turn, despite not knowing whether I will get the iron or not, committed on the new deposits. I don't know yet who gets the cartography, and I don't have any defense cards in hand because I discarded one, so I rather wanted to commit to the new deposits here. Now that I've taken the Taj Mahal, the immigration is revealed. I have 2 happy faces, but with having had the Hanging Gardens, Amaya is actually 3, so having it finished by now is now actually giving him some value. And while I didn't take the alchemy the turn before, I think it actually is still available. I think that's still the same copy of alchemy that was on 1 civil action the turn before. So I think it was in the right spot on the 1 civil action area. That's the one spot that potentially can wheel around in a 4-player game.
It's crazy. 4-player is so crazy sometimes like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I again have the chance to take the same copy of alchemy for 1 civil action, and this time I will take it. I think increasing my science production is just quite nice, and so I go for 1 upgrade, and then I take the rich land, a relatively clean turn, even though I think I should consider the warfare here, that synergizes nicely both with the Colossus and the Nostradamus, so I think that's something that I certainly thought about, but I'm low on resources. I have the Taj Mahal. I think getting a bit of an acceleration on how quickly I can get into potential mine upgrades could just be extremely important, especially with the new deposits coming. So I at the end went with the rich land, but if I don't find a second copy of warfare, it could be a bit annoying being stuck on low military actions with Nostradamus and the Colossus. So I think taking warfare here could also be a fine choice. Then I draw 2 cards, another territory, the historic one, and a border conflict. Ciufile seeds the scientific breakthrough into the deck that I was happy to see, because I just went for alchemy. Ciufile will go for the Universitas. The Pestilence is revealed, which works out nicely for Ciufile. He was the one who seeded it. It was the first event card that I've seen with Nostradamus, and all of the other players don't have a free population, so a very nice Pestilence here. And I had knowledge about the event, but I just didn't have enough food to work around it. Ciufile will finish the Universitas. Interestingly, takes the printing press here as well as the irrigation. So an interesting printing press pick. He has only 1 lab. There's Antoni Gaudi, but not that much synergy. Leonardo will likely be gone
Darwin,
before
I
his
guess,
next
but
turn.
yeah.
Darwin, that's true. The Acropolis is also a bit of a synergy, but I think in a 4-player game, that's a bit of a dangerous road to get into, especially in that sort of an early game that we are in at the moment. So I'm not sure if I would
Yeah,
do
I
this. I
agree.
think the warfare could
Especially when you
also,
also have Universitas on top. You
no,
have enough science.
I think the warfare could also be quite an interesting pick instead. But let's see how Truthfully can work around this. After the pestilence, we will get another event that limits the population output, the rats. So a bunch of food is lost. Truthfully, having benefited the most from the pestilence, will now lose the most food. Amai seeds again, and the 2 events that he seeded are one time the barbarians and the second one the wealthy territory 1, so a second colony. The good harvest is revealed, so after some food lost, immediately some food is gained again. So some crazy stuff with food and population is happening here. And Amai even got a population from the from the immigration. So first food is lost, then food is gained, then he gets a population from the immigration, then he loses a population from the pestilence, all happening at the beginning of his turn. So that's kind of crazy, and definitely shows the type of early game that we are in, with just tons of events being seeded. Amai then goes for the first iron upgrade, and that's his whole turn. And we
Yeah, I
are
also
till
wanted to
turn.
mention that I guess the Hanging Gardens, finishing Hanging Gardens was definitely a high alert for immigration being in the game, right?
That's
That
true
amaj
enough.
amaj and that ended up being in the game, so that also made a lot more sense that the Hanging Gardens was finished.
Yeah, that's definitely true. All right.
Now, I don't really want to see it, but it's very easy for me because, like I said, I've only been drawing defense cards, and now I drew an aggression, so I've not drawn any event except for maybe with the +3. I think I discarded some strength events actually, like two. I think I had two strength events that I discarded earlier to keep my defense cards
Yeah,
because I thought everyone's gonna see it a lot. I don't. I'm gonna yeah. I don't really want to see it anyway
yeah,
because I'm weakest. But yeah, I also can't see it anyway. But yeah, for me, I have a lot of rocks, and I just want to get a little bit stronger. I see ciufile being on 2 still, which seemed quite dangerous to me. But it's nice for me because I can just at least be higher than ciufile and not get hit a little bit for a while. And I also saw 2 strength events, so I was not too afraid to be on 4. And I just was time to finish my wonder, I thought.
yeah. I think that looks solid. I mean, it's again a bit difficult with a lot of things that you kind of want to do, getting economy going, getting stronger, but maybe also securing the knights for the tactic would have been, of course, interesting. But you can't do
Yes,
all here.
yes. Of course, breakthrough is great. Knights is great,
No.
but yeah, too many things.
No, I think that's at the end a solid solution here, and also it's nice that you get a full Ashoka bonus now for a while, even though you had to lose one of the mines for the pestilence, so that one got
Yeah,
now back into the yellow bank. I also, at my turn, will have to destroy something, but first of all, I will see it, and now that it takes a bit of a while until the event deck is flipped, and now that I will actually go for the cartography, I decide to seed the developed territory here, and I was hoping that the 2 colonies, especially the vast territory one, will not be revealed yet. I even thought about skipping the seed, but I was at the end fine to take that risk. If a colony, especially the vast one, is revealed, I can also maybe change my plans again and don't go for the cartography. But if no colony is revealed, or if the vast is not revealed, I thought I will go for the cartography here together with the colossus. That could give me some good chances for the colonies. I have now seeded the developed. I have the historic in hand, so I could actually go for a bit of a colonization game here, and so I seeded. And there's no colony revealed yet, only the cultural influence, which doesn't change too much. And then, as mentioned, I will take the cartography. I lose the religion to the pestilence, thanks to the happy face from Homer. I don't really need a happy face of the religion right now, so I think that's the best thing to lose for me. And I will actually develop the cartography immediately, and I'm willing to do that mainly because of the vast territory. I think that territory, winning that early, is just extremely strong, and I wanted to maximize my chances here to win it. Also, the one strength from the cartography makes sure that I remain the strongest. Even though I think at this point I have full knowledge and there's actually no strength event coming, apart from the barbarians that I might have seeded. But yeah, I think just for the vast territory, I want to get the cartography down, but it wasn't a completely easy decision because now I can only take one of the cards of knights and breakthrough, and with having the medieval army tactic, I think I kind of have to take the knights for one civil action here, meaning I miss out on the breakthrough, also miss out on a lab upgrade, so it is somewhat expensive to get that cartography going, but with now 3 colonies being in the deck, I just felt that's too strong, and I went with the cartography. I draw 2 cards, the Naval Trade Agreement Pact, so I could even get another colonization force maybe in the Reign of Terror. Ciufile has a lot of science saved up, so investing it into the Code of Laws should make sense. He also goes for Leonardo, that also is still available actually, so he might now be able to pair it with the Printing Press, and he also takes the Breakthrough, keeps Hammurabi for now. Amai seeds, and Amai has seeded knowledge of the ancients here, opens the scientific breakthrough. and then offers the open borders agreement to you, which I think is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was so happy to see that.
I can believe that. I think that should be a no-brainer to accept because Caesar is not looking too dangerous here, so I think it should be fine to have that pact with him, and actually quite a relief maybe. And yeah, Amai then goes for an additional warrior, reveals the Legion tactic, making sure that he's the strongest, but there are actually no strength events coming. And interestingly, goes for Michelangelo over Shishka. I mean, he has now the additional military action from the Open Borders Agreement. For now, Michelangelo is mainly there for the culture income, which is a bit of a two-edged sword because Amai is also the one who has seeded the barbarians into the deck, so that is a bit dangerous going for such a big culture reduction, but there are some interesting H2 wonders, so there is some potential, especially also with the iron. So let's see how that Michelangelo will work when he takes the irrigation. Maybe thinking about no, that Machu Picchu is actually already gone, so but just picking the irrigation maybe for the ocean line or just to have a way to get some food production going. And now we are at your turn.
Yeah, still can't see anything because I just used my both of my MA last turn. Now here I have the choice to go for Jan Ziska, maybe even have a good tactic for it with the knights. Can go for like double knights with double tactic. But now that I got the third MA, I still have a Ashoka bonus going, even if the stockpile. I thought I can have a lot of food. I could just take this knight and wait for Barbarossa, since everyone already has a leader. Yeah, everyone already has a leader. Yeah, ciufile still has it in its hand. So yeah, I just thought that even though this Jan Ziska looks pretty strong, the Barbarossa should be even stronger, I thought. And especially with maybe being able to contest a little bit of like with having the double colony in my hand, being able to contest maybe some colonies. But yeah, generally I just thought it was stronger, so I just I take the knights anyway. Uh, I don't know, like yeah, because I thought I was gonna make a few guys. Like I didn't really want to make 4 swordsmen or maybe 5 swordsmen. I guess there's like the Great Walls. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
No, no, definitely some options, but with the phalanx tactic already being in play, I think having the knight should be quite strong to maybe get the strength lead soon.
Oh yeah, and of course the knights, you get the bonus again, and so I just can keep that around. I don't really lose anything by waiting for Barbarossa, unless it's like the last card, and I have to like lose a CA for it, I guess. But
No,
uh, and
so
yeah, just upgrade my iron is quite nice. That I still have some ironing, some income while losing my mine. Didn't mind it too much, honestly.
no, but I think it's a brave, but I like the decision of just passing Shishka because I think a lot of players would just see, oh, I have knights, phalanx, Shishka, I can set up 2 phalanx soon and it will go for Shishka. But I think the value that Barbarossa can give if you can go for 2 or 3 activations is just so insanely strong that yeah, I would definitely value it more highly than trying something with Shishka here. So I like your choice, and I think maybe some other players would have played it differently.
That's always nice. Now the other thing that I was like really confused about is that ciufile was so low this entire time, strength wise. But it
No,
did allow me to also make this play a bit more easily because you can also see that they don't even have food to make more military.
and
So I
not
didn't
and
really
no
feel like I
military
was
tech.
ever gonna, yeah, no military tech, like nothing. So I was not very uncomfortable staying a little bit weaker. I already drew 2 strength events, so I was like maybe they also drew like the bad events and that they're a little bit more comfortable staying low. So yeah, it was
No,
definitely interesting to me that this CFI was so low on strength the whole time.
that's definitely true. Yeah, but no, so far, no strength event seen. I have actually two in hand at the moment, Border Conflict and Reign of Terror, so those are two that you play
You
can't have
had
knowledge
them.
about. But yeah, so far, truthfully, hasn't really gotten punished that heavily for being low in strength.
No, I
And
was like lowest for like one turn, and I got bombarded,
yeah, with the
and then he
call
was
to
just
arms
chilling.
and losing that one culture to the Crusades. Yeah, then it's my turn. I start by seeding the Reign of Terror. So I put a strength event into the deck with Nostradamus. This should be a very safe one to play. Could also, of course, go for another colony with the cartography, but I want to wait a little bit and see if I'm in a position to also go for that colony. The new deposits is revealed. Sadly, I didn't get a copy of Iron, so some players gain more resources than I do, but I think the additional resources are still useful for me. I could now even finish the Taj Mahal if I would like to, but I think it's more important to get the additional science upgrade going here, and I also took the Warfare. I get another chance to take a copy here, and this time I took it because soon I get the Colossus draws, and I even now went for a bit of a colonization strategy, so the additional military action gets even more important. So I think I have to go for the warfare here. And then I think I have even a bit of an interesting question here because I have to decide with my last civil action whether I want to go for knights and build a knight, or, which is maybe a bit more unusual but could maybe also be interesting, I could develop the warfare and build a warrior, getting the additional military action earlier. And of course, going for that many warriors with the medieval army tactic is a bit bad, but I know that there are still two colonies in the last three events, and then I could just send those warriors away and afterwards go for the knights and then ideally into the medieval army tactic and get more draws immediately with the warfare. So I felt it could be an interesting choice here. But at the end, I went for the knights. First of all, maybe it puts even a bit of pressure on some opponents. Sadly, I don't have an aggression or something in hand. With Nostradamus, it's always a bit weird, even if I would have one. Trying that out instead of seeding the event is a bit awkward. But still, maybe some opponents have to react to having me now having even more strength, and also having that medieval army tactic allows me to send an army away in case the vast territory is revealed, which I think could be important because I thought it's certainly possible that maybe other players would be willing to bid a lot, and I have no defense card in hand, so yeah, I at the end went for
You
the
know,
knights.
when you went to 9, I really thought like you've seen Foray go in, because like I was like, why does he need to go to 9? You know, he goes to like 12 defense. I was like, yeah. So I was really thinking like has to be some strength events coming that he actually wants to win or something.
Yeah, no, that was no, mainly the vast territory and me having to maybe build a unit anyway to get out of corruption. Yeah, at the end, I am quite a bit in the lead for the strength without there really being any events. I draw one event, but I just draw a second copy of the medieval army tactic. Truthfully, actually goes for a third H1 wonder, the Great Wall, builds two steps. A third step is now missing one civil action to just finish it, but it's already impressive to take that for 3 and then build 3 steps. Of course, with Hammurabi that's possible, and he builds a warrior to get out of corruption, so he missed out military tax and warfare, but now at least he goes for the Great Wall to help him with the military. Then
Really
Amaya
wondering who is
seeds.
the Michelangelo here.
Yeah, that's also, of course, maybe a potential factor. And now Amaya seeds, and Amaya seeds the strategic territory into the deck. So he's actually seeding another colony in, which I found interesting because when he seeded the ones before, I didn't have the cartography. So I think that was maybe somewhat understandable. Now, of course, it's just quite likely that I might be able to win one, but maybe he just wanted to push and didn't have anything else. And now the first colonies actually revealed the wealthy territory, and as you can see, I'm actually not able to win it, and I also wasn't willing to bid as much. I only was willing to bid a single warrior, not more, not even a knight, because the problem is I don't have enough food to increase my population, so if I send a knight away, I can't get the population back to knights, and then I'm first of all weaker, and second of all don't have an army available to send for the vast territories. I just bid a warrior. If I win it for just a warrior, it's fine. I'm happy, especially with the Taj Mahal. Getting those 6 additional resources could be extremely useful. But the more important colony, I think, is the vast territory, and I rather want to stay prepared to win that. And if one of my opponents maybe sends now some cards away, that could even be fine for me. you are able to win it, and you can now use your defense cards that you had now in hand for a
Finally.
while.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting that you bid four. That definitely, I tried to figure out what it was going on. I definitely saw that if you bid uh, uh, your horse, your thing, your knight, that you would lose a lot of strength. So, I mean, but it did tell me that you're most likely didn't have a defense card unless you really wanted to keep it for something bigger. But I thought it was very unlikely because if I remember correctly, yeah, you could use this rocks pretty fine. I mean, even to use it on the Taj Mahal, if anything else, if nothing else, I guess.
No,
So I thought you probably don't have a colony card, and yeah.
no, that's the case. And Amai will this turn go for the irrigation and doesn't start working on the Silk Road yet, so that will be a little bit delayed now, but get some food production going. And now Barbarossa is actually available for one civil action for you, and you even won a colony, so I do think you have now some very strong conditions for him.
Yeah, and I even now I have three military actions. I have 7 food, 14 rocks. It's like how do I have so much? Like, I kind of like looked at this and I was like, wait, since when do I have like so much stuff? So I'm very happy that I got this knights because um, yeah, I also didn't really have anything to see. The only thing I had was rebellion, and yeah, I'm weakest, so of course I don't really want to see. So yeah, take Frederick Barbarossa, and here I'm like, yeah, babwam, babwam, and I'm at 9 already, and I can even go to 11 because why not? Because yeah, I thought kind of that there would either be a big yeah, big territory or like something like foray or other strength events, because I thought you were going high with the strength, maybe higher than you need to, but I didn't really notice everything. Like I didn't really notice if it was for corruption issues or something like that. But I thought like maybe you're setting up for some strength defense. And I also drew triple aggression. I have enslave, raid, and kidnap.
Oh,
And of course, ciufile is very weak. And even amaj or amai can be weak with the pact that we have, giving me 2 strength against him as well. So yeah, pretty nice. And I'm not really missing this third mine, just casually being on +4 and having more than enough rocks. So the pestilence has been kind of fine for me.
no, and I think that Barbarossa turn was insanely strong, getting 3 activations in one turn. That's just an insane amount of value, saving you 3 civil actions, 3 food, and 3 resources.
Yeah,
Getting that amount of stuff out of a lead on one turn, I mean, it's not bad, especially in
that's
H1.
not bad. Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, it started off with getting the hit by the strength event, losing the 2 civil actions, and now here I'm like, okay, wait, definitely already turned around.
Yeah, I think that Barbarossa turn certainly improves your position by quite a bit. So I think we can already see how it paid off to not go for the Jan Žižka blade that maybe other players potentially would have fallen for. And now it's my turn. I can decide between ceding historic territory or border conflict. I wanted to push because if I don't push the vast territory out right now, it could be a bit difficult to bid much because I would maybe be in danger of an aggression from you. So I really was hoping that it is revealed now, that I maybe win the tie breaks and can bid a lot and then rebuild some units. So I was wanting to see it, and with potentially now sending a lot of units away, I was not willing to see the border conflict and instead went with the historic territory 1. There is the vast territory revealed. I went all in, and I also need every bit of that all in bid that I went for here because I was already fearing it because I took a look at your civilization and I realized, okay, if you send a phalanx tactic away, that's 6 from the units, 3 from the tactic. You could even have a defense card, but you just used 2, so maybe you don't have another one. And I thought with Barbarossa and being able to rebuild that cheaply again, that would just be extremely strong. Also with the Suez Canal being in place, I felt like you might just send an army here, and it's expensive for me. It makes building the Taj Mahal even more challenging now, sending that many units away. But for the vast territory, I was willing to do it. And at least with having 4
Yeah,
food, I have also just enough to get 2 more populations back now, being that deep in my yellow bank, and rebuild at least 1 army.
Yeah, so here I was kind of feeling a little bit sorry for you because, of course, if the vast territory is a little bit earlier, then I cannot even bid more than like, I don't know, like 3 or something. I don't know how much I had, like, or even like only 2, I think. Yeah, I could only bid 2, and you would have just gotten away with only sending a warrior. Um, but yeah, right after my turn, I have also 10 rocks, so yeah, I can build back very, very cheaply. And yeah, I figured that you wouldn't have a colonization card. You would go all in and win it, but it would be as costly as it could be at least. And so I honestly I wouldn't mind winning it. Of course, I would be happy to win it even for 3. But I was quite happy that it cost you so much. With having 3 colonization, having to send 3 3 things. Yeah.
No, I was certainly not too happy having to pay that price. Maybe I also shouldn't have been willing to bet as much. Maybe it's too costly, but it's just such a strong colony. So at the end, I was still willing to go for such a bid. But yeah, I of course would have preferred it to maybe win it for a little bit cheaper. And now I have 2 civil actions left. I took the frugality with being that deep into my yellow bank. That basically gives me an additional population at the next turn. So that might be nice to have. And then I, with my last civil action, just developed a warfare. I don't really want to take another card, and I would have a full hand, which could be annoying. And I also don't really need any of those happy face solution tags. So I just developed a warfare, gives me an additional draw immediately this turn, and I have it already available so that I can keep some cards of my Colossus draw in hand at the next turn. I draw an Enslave. ciufile finishes the Great Wall, goes for Leonardo, takes the Alchemy, so doesn't have the population now for the printing press, but can nonetheless go up to 5 science production, so that's not bad. If he gets an H2 government farm soon, that can allow him maybe to go for quite a boost. Also takes and develop the irrigation, so scoring some resources from Leonardo this turn. Amaj goes for the knights, develops them, uses the frugality to increase his population, builds the knight, goes for an iron upgrade, is now at 7 strength, copies the phalanx tactic, and then ends his turn. And now H2 will start. I will draw some cards to the Colossus, and you actually choose to go for an aggression here.
Yeah, I had a choice between enslave, raid, and the bread and circuses. But on my turn, as you can see, I have 0 food. So getting the enslave would give me 2 food, 2 resources. I would not be able to spend the food. I would just have corruption there. And this was kind of the only way to really get out of corruption in a nice way while fixing my happy faces. And of course, there is our favorite Pierre in the game as well. So I went over. Well, yeah, I took this over the other things. I also thought that I have raid and a slave. I can just maybe even use next turn. So yeah, it was quite a nice aggression here to just be able to have a nice turn without corruption and fix some things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always nice to see a successful kidnap, because that's not too often happening.
Yeah. I scored three culture, which probably means that it like doubles my culture or something. That's yeah, that was at 11.
Yeah, that's also, of course, something. And you take the peer setup away from one of your opponents. So,
Yes, I was like, if I have Pierre and I'm in front of you, that already it increases my win rate by like 20% probably.
all right. So you built it bread and circuses with the additional strength from the bread and circuses. Maybe your next aggressions will also be potentially more successful. And then you actually adopt the medieval army tactics to gain 1 additional strength. So you were willing to sacrifice those draws, maybe realizing that the 1 strength could make a difference for the aggressions, or?
Yeah, with the double aggression, and also I thought this was way nicer to bid. If there's another thing, then I wanted to rather be able to bid 2 with a high amount of strength instead of having to bid 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then the breakthrough is the last civil action, is of course always a nice card to get for 1 civil action. I have of course drawn some cards from the Colossus. I drew a scientific corporation, the arms industry, and the wealthy territory. I thought about if there's an opponent that I can offer the scientific corporation to, but it's just unsure if it will be accepted, and I just rather wanted to keep on pushing here. I actually know the barbarians are on top, even if I get the additional culture from Nostradamus for seeding, even if I seed an H2 event, which I will do. I have one culture less than Amai, meaning that he will get hit by the barbarians. And at the end, I went with the wealthy territory here because with having to send my units away for the vast territories, not having been able to get the iron, I just felt like those additional resources from the wealthy territory could be really big for me later on, and I have hopefully with the cartography some decent chances to win that. So with those resources, maybe I will be able to finish the Taj Mahal, or maybe early enough to still go for potential Suez Canal, which of course is getting a more and more interesting path here for me. So I wanted to have the chance to get those additional resources as early as possible, and with that seeded that into the deck. The barbarians are revealed, costing my population. I at my turn will use the frugality to increase my population. I will build a knight so that I can send that knight away for some colonies. The strategic and the developed territory are coming from the H1 events, and then I still have 3 civil actions left. I will go for the Code of Laws and develop it. That makes it maybe a bit more difficult to go for an H2 government form, but I don't want to be stuck on 5 civil actions. And it is a game where Robespierre is in the game, and it always is also a factor for me on how willing I am to maybe go a bit lower. There's also knowledge of the ancients coming, the developed territory that I might be able to win. So I was just hoping that I will still have enough science for the other things that I will need to do. And with the last 2 civil actions, I just took the patriotism. Of course, urban growth for 1 civil action could maybe be a fine card, but the last civil action is then difficult for me to use anyway. And there are still some colonies coming. I will need to rebuild some units. I'm low on resources, so I felt like the patriotism is just the thing that I need the most here, also likely giving me an additional draw. And so at the end, it felt like the best turn to me. I keep the border conflict, the scientific cooperation, the arms industry, drawing the popularization of science, and the historic territories, another colony. Ciufile builds a warrior, goes up to 7 strength with the Great Wall, reveals the Legion tactic is now 9 strength, but would still need 2 defense cards to be able to defend against you. If you wouldn't have copied the tactic, he would have only needed 1, so it might make a difference. And then he also goes for an iron upgrade. Amai increases his population, builds a knight, builds a step of the Silk Road, takes the breakthrough, has corruption, still hasn't finished the Silk Road, but breakthrough with the Silk Road bonus I think will be quite valuable. And then we are at your turn, and you can decide here which aggression you want to play and against which player.
Yeah, I mean, ciufile didn't draw a lot of cards, has to have 2 defense cards. Amaj drew a H2 card as well, so easier to defend if he just has one of those lucky ones. Yeah, I also kind of thought that ciufile might be in a bit of a better position if I didn't start attacking him. Because he was going extremely greedy with all the triple wonder, having the great wall and everything. Just need to punish him a little bit before he runs away. And yeah, Amash kind of a bit stuck with this Michelangelo Silk Road. So I yeah, definitely thought ciufile should be the target, and I can do a raid, which also hurts him a lot. But I guess I thought the food would be better for me. I don't know exactly
I mean, he also doesn't have the
what
3
was.
populations, so losing a population is
Oh yeah, yeah.
also
That
painful, I
was that
think.
was for sure. Yeah, the losing the population was also painful, exactly. And to get out of corruption, I think there was maybe only one nice way, and it was just to take the Kremlin and start building on that. I have, for some reason, with my 4 rocks, I just have infinite rocks, and I
Yeah.
can just finish that next. I have an engineering genius, and I thought this alchemy is way too late. That I would rather wait for a little bit something better.
Yeah. I think the Gremlin is certainly quite nice here, especially with you having an excess happy face at the moment. I mean, there are some other strong H2 wonders, maybe going into Alchemy and leaving yourself open for Ocean Line or Railroad could be interesting, but I think the Gremlin, if the conditions are right, is also quite strong. And often the conditions are not perfect for me because I'm trying to not have too many excess happy phases. But if you have some excess happy phases, the Gremlin offers to you, I think, is also quite strong. So I think it's a good Gremlin here.
Yeah, and of course, I'm on four civil actions. Very often, I have like some alchemy going, and now it's gonna be hard for me to get, and then I would have like a code of law or something, or even monarchy. But I don't have anything going. I need to use my rocks for something also next turn. Even if I have alchemy this turn, then I also need to do something next turn again, and it will just be extremely hard to pick up a wonder and not have corruption, and it will also be very hard to get more civil actions in another way. So I think it was definitely a very nice Kremlin in this case.
Yeah. All right. At my turn, I will seed. The event deck movement has slowed down a little bit. I actually have seeded the last 3 events after I've seed now, so there has been a little bit of a pause. This time I will decide on seeding the popularization of science, which felt like maybe just the safest event. I don't commit to the historic territory so that I maybe can keep it in hand for potential Suez Canal. Arms industry, I don't really know yet, even though the resources likely will be helpful, and border conflict, I also felt like I might. Maybe I could have chance to be the strongest, but it will all take, for all those events, it will take a while until that will be revealed. So I wanted to commit to one that maybe isn't too influential. We will see that maybe it is actually influential, but at this time it felt like it should be fine with my 4 science production. The first colony out of this event deck is revealed, the strategic territory 1. I was willing to bid a knight, I think not more, not an army or something, and I was happy that I'm able to win it for 5, sending a knight away, drawing the international negotiations as well as the promise of military protection and the acceptance of supremacy. I this turn can increase my population. And
Interrupt you for a second.
yes.
What did you think that what was I doing with 5? Like, did you have any read on that?
I think I didn't look closely into that. Maybe you either just wanted to let me pay more, so making sure that I have to
Yeah,
pay a
because
night.
there's actually pretty much no way that I can actually get to 5 unless I just drew an H2 colony and then a H1. Otherwise, I'm sending an army and I would go to 6. But yeah, I had to use the arrows on the pad to go to 5 to make you pay the knight, because I was pretty sure that you would pay a knight, but I didn't actually want it for
Yeah,
I didn't actually want it, so I just wanted you to pay the most, exactly, because I only have 2 food left, and yeah.
no. I think
So
that's good that you can notice something like this, because I think that's important to not let your opponents win the colonies for too cheap. And if you are certain that your opponent will be willing to bid a certain amount, then sometimes you can just bid a little bit higher, even though you would not want to send away as much. Of course, that can heavily backfire, so you have to be careful with it.
I have it backfire, but it will happen at some point, I guess.
Yeah,
But
it will
I'll just
happen,
have to
I can tell you
remember that
that,
it like
yes.
20 times I got reward at first. Yeah.
But yeah, I do it relatively often, and most of the times it works, and then it just adds up over all of those games, the additional cost
Hmm.
that the opponents have to pay. So I think it's an important thing to have in mind. I do think you really shouldn't let your opponents let them win the colonies for cheap. So yeah, and here I already have to pay more because of that. I then will increase my population, play the patriotism to rebuild at night to have it available for the developed territory 1, and then I could potentially take a bunch of cards, especially a yellow card like Efficient Upgrade could be very helpful. Maybe I could take the Swordsman to be prepared for more tactics. So there are some options here, but at the end I just took the Constitutional Monarchy for 3 civil actions, which seems somewhat expensive, especially because I don't have the science to go for it at the next turn. But I might have the science for it with the developed territory coming, and also the knowledge of the ancients, but that just in that event doesn't give me enough. But the developed territory, if I win that, I can go for the constitutional monarchy already the next turn, which I think gives me a nice boost. And then also another reason, ciufile, I think if he gets that conmon, that will give him quite a big boost. He got hit now by the enslave, so he has had a bit of some setbacks, but Still, with the big science income and getting that common, his position could get quite strong. So also a bit of a denial, but also just because I was hoping that maybe I could even develop it at the next turn. I keep some events in hand, arms industry, historic territory, and international negotiations. I draw a defense card, which I was happy to see, increasing my chances that I can win the developed territory, as well as fortifications, tactic, and the war over territory. Ciufile goes for mine upgrade. I think lost a farm
Yeah.
to the enslaved. Will now upgrade a farm, but it will take a little while until he gets the population back. So that certainly has done some damage. Maybe he could have instead deleted the religion. Maybe he's wanting to go for Gaudius. Maybe wants to keep the religion, but I think it's a bit annoying that he is that low on food now. Then Amai will go for navigation. He has ceded the strategic territory, doesn't have knowledge about other colonies, at least hasn't ceded any. So it's a bit of a speculative pick, but he knows that I, with Nostradamus, went for some colonization, so it might pay off. He also makes him a bit stronger, takes the organized religion, increases his population, builds another knight, and has the recovery tactic, and with that he's actually the strongest for now. And then we are at your turn.
Yeah, so of course I try another aggression. I know that he doesn't have a double defense, so he would kind of need to draw a defense card from his H2 draw. But unfortunately, he does.
Yeah.
I did draw it. So it didn't go through, and okay, I lose 3 rocks. I mean, I have enough rocks for a little bit, but of course, him losing an alchemy would be quite a big deal. He's not having the most rocks ever. And then yeah, my only H2 card that I drew was actually the classic army, so I got a little bit lucky there. And I figured I just went for that to get strongest again.
Yeah.
And of course, I have to finish the Kremlin. What else? Yeah, the justice system. I don't like looking back here. I mean, looks a little weird to me.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what that is about. Because I could just wait for even a republic, right? I mean, I have already 3 base, even 4 for while we are in H2. So not really sure exactly what that was about. Honestly, I can't tell you. I mean, what else would I have done? I have 3 CA. I don't really want to take like cavalry or riflemen too much because I was thinking I'm just gonna keep this classic army going, and then upgrading it doesn't make a lot of sense. I would rather just maybe go for an H3 upgrade to actually improve my strength meaningfully.
Yeah.
I guess yeah. If I go for architecture, then I could finish my Kremlin faster, but I kind of would not be able to go into a government. But yeah, I don't really know of this justice system. I guess yeah, I have a breakthrough. I don't know how. I guess I come back to the Republic relatively quickly. I guess that's probably what I thought, but not really sure about. I could maybe
Yeah,
just
I
a rich
mean, the
land.
existence of Robespierre could, of course, also maybe help you and justify it a little bit more if you set yourself up for that
Right,
leader.
right. Yeah, yeah. That was another thing.
But without Robespierre, it might be a bit more challenging now to go into an H2 government form. So certainly not an obvious decision, or maybe one that could potentially backfire.
Yeah.
Did you consider Antoni Gaudi here? With you could maybe replace
Oh my
Barbarossa.
God, there's an Anthony Gaudi. Well, okay. Well, I got caught, guys. I am not looking at Gaudi at all, yeah. But I have 3 different ones. So yeah, actually it does make some sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
Barbarossa
I no
isn't doing at the moment, at least, not anything. So
yeah, and then I can go into some scientific method with a discount, and then maybe get later pro sport with a discount. So yeah, no, I think that does make a lot of sense actually. I think what I was thinking maybe was like, oh, I would like maybe Robespierre or maybe Newton, uh, because with some scientific method, and then Newton is like just my favorite kind of.
no,
But yeah, this guy looks kind of good, I guess.
Yeah, I think now that you went for the justice system, maybe it's also wiser to wait for Robespierre. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
generally Newton Goldie, especially because he is here right now for one civil action, Barbarossa isn't doing anything. I think could be an interesting pick. I also think
absolutely.
it's probably too speculative, but to me, if you want to go for a fun game, you could even take Napoleon for 3, replace Barbarossa, go up to 21 strength, and then just see what you will draw with your next draws and see where that takes you. But that,
That's true, actually.
that
No, I
is,
like that quite a bit. Maybe that's more my style. Yeah.
but that might be a bit dependent then on the draws, so maybe could backfire. So yeah, with the justice system, maybe the Robespierre could end up being important, and also Newton. So maybe now you should leave yourself open for leaders that help you with the science.
Oh, I do remember one more thing is that I thought ciufile will definitely take away the next thing for like 3 actions. Uh, so there was like a little bit of a potential delay in there as well. But
And
I guess
when
amaj,
you get a government, no,
yeah, maybe. But no, I don't think I can defend it.
no. All right, at my turn, I continue with seeding. This time, the arms industry. I don't know yet how well that will work out for me, but I know that it's in there, and I know that I very likely can use the resources. So I was willing to put that into the deck, and I was very happy to see that the card that is next on top is actually the developed territory, which I'm able to win even without having to use my defense card, and that allows me to go for the Conmon this turn. So that I was very happy to see. What I was not too happy to see is that there's a Suez Canal, but I'm not able to take it because I have the Taj Mahal still lying around. So that
Uh-huh.
otherwise, I think it might have been a situation where I would have been even willing to take the Suez for 5 civil actions here, maybe increase my
Yeah,
population,
yeah,
build a
yeah.
warrior, take the Suez Canal. I have the historic territory too. I know that even the wealthy territory too is still coming in the event deck, so it could potentially soon be a 5 colony Suez Canal, but because of my decisions way back in the game, yeah, that Taj Mahal is sadly blocking me from taking the Suez Canal. So that I wasn't too happy to see. I was hoping maybe there's a way of me finishing the Taj Mahal the next turn and then getting the Suez Canal. But I will build a knight this turn, which basically takes the option away unless all of you see it, and I could maybe open the wealthy territory too. But at this point, I already realized that probably I won't get the Suez Canal. I mean, I will. I actually not really. I will take the reserves here. So I was thinking maybe I can play the reserves here, finish the Taj Mahal, and then with the 3 civil actions take the Suez. And then with the wealthy territory too, maybe I can finish the Suez. So I still had a little bit of hope. That's why I took the reserves, and even if I don't use it for that, it's still I think a nice flexible card for me. So I still had a little bit of hope, but I was thinking, that is now quite annoying because even though I could maybe get it, it's still a bit awkward and would cost all of my civil actions at the next turn. So I could now build a step of the Taj Mahal, but the thing is, it's not guaranteed that the Suez will be available at the next turn, and in my position, I'm not certain if I really plan on finishing the Taj Mahal, so it would be a bit of a commitment to invest into the first step here. And so instead, I at the end went for the team sports, which should be useful at some point. I need a happy face solution at some point. There's Pierre in the game. There's also Darwin in the game, so it felt like a good card to have in hand, even though taking that, of course, makes it maybe even a bit more likely that the Suez Canal could potentially be discarded for my turn, but there are still some cards in front of it, so I was hoping that maybe at the next turn I could play the reserves, finish the touch, and then take the Suez Canal. I draw some cards, Refugees, Prosperity, and Raid. Ciufile goes for Napoleon, so maybe he wants to be a bit safer, develops the Opera with Leonardo, scores another resource, then elects Napoleon, wants to maybe be as safe as possible from another aggression, and then takes the Cavalryman. The Architect, sadly with taking all of those cards, the Suez Canal will end up being discarded at your turn, so that's potentially
I
very
was
nice
very
Suez
happy to see
Canal.
that.
Will sadly be gone, so I was a bit sad.
I when you took the reserves, I was like, okay, he's trying so hard, you know. So
Yeah,
I was like, let's see what if extra cards to deny it or what's gonna happen
yeah.
if they noticed. But yeah,
I see it's the Reign of Terror is revealed, ciufile losing another population, again with having no free population, so it really starts to hurt for him. Amaj finally finishes the Silk Road. That took a while, but now it's out of the way, and maybe now he can take his first wonder with Michelangelo, because the Silk Road was actually taken without Michelangelo. And yeah, then we are at your turn.
Yeah, so I have one aggression in my hand, which is the spy.
I think it's your fourth aggression in a row. Is that possible?
It is. Of course, last time he defended
Yeah.
with his top draw, but yeah, that also means that it's unlikely that he has another one, unless he drew another one, of course, which is possible. If he draws one more defense card, he already can defend. So I was like, okay, get lucky this time, please. And I did get lucky, or I mean, he didn't get lucky, let's say.
Yeah.
So he had a nice spy, which is of course super sick when I yeah have very low science, and
Yeah.
now
I
I can
mean, with
actually
that,
go
your
into
justice system looks a lot better now.
yeah, maybe I had it in hand. No, I didn't. Um, but yeah, and then of course there's selective breeding here as well. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I see scientific method is coming off the row as well. So like maybe I can pick that up next. Although Amai doesn't have any philosophy upgrades yet, so he will probably pick that up. But yeah, I was very happy with the selective breeding. Of course, actually also maybe be able to proc Barbarossa a little bit more, and then I have two left. And now you could argue take this Newton and stick around maybe with the Barbarossa until you have the scientific method.
Could be an
I
option.
I think that could be defendable actually, but I guess I didn't do it. Yeah, I think that could have been a decent option. Like I guess where I went for was Teresa, Darwin is both fine, but
And Robespierre, of course.
looking and Robespierre, yeah. Oh yeah, actually Robespierre, yeah, for sure. I was like, oh yeah, if I get Robespierre, it would actually be quite nice that I actually have some science to get into some extra text, because yeah, even the scientific method would also be something to pay for. And I mean, there's always an abundance of things that you want to go into, but maybe that's another reason to also take Isaac Newton, because then once you get the scientific method, you actually get some extra science. So in hindsight, I would probably pick up Newton here, but in the game, I guess I didn't.
No, I think it would certainly be fine picking him. I think it should be likely that you get one copy of scientific method at some point. I'm wondering if maybe there could have been even the possibility of taking Newton this turn, electing him, taking scientific method for 3, developing it for 3, going for 1 upgrade, and then maybe taking selective breeding. Then you would boost your science income by +4 and have Newton already set up. I think that could maybe be also an interesting option, even though it is expensive to take the scientific method.
But what about my selective breeding then?
I think you have one left. You can take Newton,
Okay, I can take it in hand.
take selective breeding, take scientific method for 3. You still have one action left. You can develop the scientific method for 3 with Newton, and then you can go for an upgrade. So I think that.
I don't know if I would necessarily do that. I think I would actually go for the same line, but then just take Newton.
Yeah.
Just because I can use the food, and then I actually can get Barbarossa procs
Yeah,
from that
that's
quickly,
certainly also an argument.
and
Yeah,
and the
another
game
bar.
is not, or the what is it called, the age is almost finished. So the science, well, not almost finished, but it's a long way. So actually can uh, get the second scientific method also relatively quickly.
Yeah, I think it's certainly fine. Another Barbarossa activation is also a lot of value. On the other hand, with still needing a government for maybe that big science boost could potentially quite interesting. So I think it's a line that maybe I would consider, but I'm also not sure if I would go for it if it's maybe too expensive to take that for 3.
Oh yeah, you make a good point, because yeah, like I think yeah, I think the line definitely makes a lot of sense, because yeah, I also would need to spend 6 science, of course, on the scientific method, and then going into That's usually when I don't have the alchemy. It's like, oh, I want scientific method, but if I go into it, then I delay my government. But if I go
Yeah,
into
that
government, then
happens.
I can never go into scientific method. So I mean, for me, playing without alchemy is so annoying. Like I love alchemy.
No,
I'm the
no.
biggest alchemy enjoyer. But yeah, no, I think that was a good line that you said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely an option. I think there are different interesting lines here. Um, then it's my turn. I think I will this turn seed the international negotiations. Also, Amai has seeded an event. It was the international agreement, so I followed up with another international event and opened the knowledge of the ancients. And I mean, I got the Taj Mahal for free, and that has now resulted in one additional resource for me for 0 civil
Uh,
actions. So
You know
it's
what they
quite a
say,
nice
right?
margin here. So it has done something for me. You can That's certainly the
I
case.
see. Yeah.
um,
No, I mean they say nothing in this life comes for free, and yeah, well,
that resource came
it,
for free. Um,
yeah, true, true.
and yeah, there's another copy of selective breeding available for me, so I went into a selective breeding. I had make sure that I can use this rich land before the age ends, and I also decided on going for cook. When I can't get the Suez, at least I can get cook going, and I will also elect cook. Of course, that makes it that I won't get a full knowledge about the next event deck, which could be nice with Nostradamus, but soon there's the Wealthy Territory 2 coming, and I think that could just be a real game changer for me if I would be able to win this, and so I wanted to maximize my chances of winning that. And of course, Cook also immediately gives me +4 culture income, so gives me more culture than Nostradamus would have given me for seeding. So I think it's good to elect James Cook here immediately. Then I have 3 civil actions left. I still need to get out of corruption. I can do it by increasing my population, which would be enough. I could then even consider taking a copy of cannons because I have the fortifications in hand. But the transition, even with the wealthy territory, might be a bit harsh, and your classic army tactic is available to copy. So I didn't bother spending 2 civil actions for cannons here. And instead, I actually went for another food upgrade, maybe somewhat expensive, but I was hoping with James Cook that I will be able to win the wealthy territory, and then I thought maybe it's fine to get the food production going as quickly as possible. There's a red cross in the game. Now that maybe the Taj Mahal will be discarded, maybe I will finish it with the wealthy territory too. That could be a possibility. At least I don't have a lot of wonders lying around in H3, which makes it more easily possible to maybe take and finish a red cross potentially. So I think going heavily into food production can be fine here. Of course, I don't have enough science to get into coal now, and I might be stuck on low resources, but the wealthy territory might really help me out a lot here. I then increase my population just to spend my civil actions already, and I take the frugality. I have already good food income, maybe don't necessarily need it, but I have now some actions, and at the end, it's still, I think, fine to get that card for 1 civil action. So that was my turn at the end. Now I was a little bit sad to not have taken the cannons because I draw the mobile artillery, which is probably better than the classic army tactic for me. So I have to see if I maybe can get one of those other copies. Ciufile seeds. Now after a very long time, I sadly can't tell you any longer which event he has seeded, but I will know it
Mhm.
later on because the next event will be seeded by me. So was only one unknown event for me in there. So
Oh yeah, that was
I
kind of
won't. I
funny. Like, sorry, like that you had Nostradamus for a very long time, but you were like the only one seeding.
Yeah, and yeah, in H2, almost only I seeded. In H1, there was that crazy seeding going on, but yeah, in this event deck, I will have seeded every card apart from one from Amai and now one from ciufile. So yeah, I had a lot of knowledge. The historic territories revealed another colony that is in there. I almost forgot about that one. I only bid 6, so not a lot. And I actively try to not win it here because 6 is a bit of a weird bit. I could send a warrior away in 2 cards with Cook, but I guess that would be a fine bit because then I can transition maybe into the mobile artillery if everything goes right. But I was even thinking that maybe it's better to not win it here because the wealthy territory is just so important here, and the historic territory could maybe end up being a distraction. I knew that Amai has this navigation, so maybe I can just bid 6. Either I win it very cheaply or Amai maybe has to send a little bit of stuff away, and that is what's happening here. At least he is losing one card and has to send a knight away. ciufile goes for the rifleman, goes for some upgrades, is now at 17 strength, takes the cannons, so with the Great Wall, has even some strength potential for H3, has all of the techs. It's still a bit difficult with the amount of science. He also develops the architecture now, which makes it more difficult for him to go into a military line, but still something that could be possible for him. Amai gets the copy of Republic. I think it has been a bit unfortunate for all three of you that
Yeah.
apart from my first conmon, the other government forms were quite late, especially for ciufile, because he was
For ciufile, yeah, that was like kind of
that
disgusting for him.
no, so that was a bit fortunate for me, but now finally a copy of Republic has appeared, which Amai will immediately get into. I think the additional civil actions will be great for him with the Silk Road, and finally can also use Michelangelo not only for culture, but to take the ocean liner, which in this situation I think is certainly clutch, saving those two civil actions, allowing both the Republic and the ocean liner, plus the scientific method, plus the engineering genius, and actually maybe having taken Newton could have backfired because one scientific method is now in the discard spot, the other one taken away. So actually, there's been a lot of card row movement before your last turn. So if you would have gone for the line with just picking Newton, I mean, the second copy I think wasn't even on the row yet
No, it
in your
wasn't.
turn. So we saw it earlier with the alchemy, how slow the deck can move. Now we see how quick
That's
it can move.
crazy. Yeah.
And yeah, now it's your turn, and you just can't stop with the aggressive action in this game.
Yeah, this game was so funny to me. Like you just kept seeding every turn. The other guy, two guys, just kept doing nothing, and I would just kept aggressing everyone. It was like it was kind of a very black and white way of things happening. Yeah, after war, I mean, okay, I get the two strength, but of course, probably the end will age or the age will end, and he can also, of course, decide to cancel the pact. But yeah, little war over technology. I didn't expect to win heavily, but I also saw like because he normally maybe it could look a bit dangerous because he has a lot of rocks that he could like disband a lot of stuff. But I mostly was noticing that I mean, first of all, he wants to finish this ocean liner, of course. But second of all, he only has 4 science, so he just cannot get into any technology to really make him stronger. So this felt like just a nice little science boost, which I can definitely use. And I use my Barbarossa to yeah, get some procs, of course. So the food's paying off a little bit there to get some extra strength. Um, I think I also no, I don't know. I just made a random extra warrior, I guess.
I think it's to avoid the uprising. I think you might. Will you disband it now? Yes,
Oh,
yes.
right. Yeah, exactly. I needed to do the Barbarossa trick. Yeah.
No, but now two more
And
Barbarossa
then
activations, certainly an argument in favor of your food income play of the turn before.
yeah, maybe I also kind of needed that with the uprising stuff. Otherwise, we need to like, yeah. If you don't make the food the last turn and make the scientific method, I'm not really sure exactly how the food situation, uprising situation would have played out.
No,
But
you
in
certainly couldn't
hindsight,
have
it looks
gotten any
very
more units.
nice.
Yes.
And I drew defense card strategic territory. So I'm also thinking maybe I can see this strategic territory. Maybe if I get a lot stronger. So that's definitely one way that I usually think about trying to go for aggressive push. Is do I get politics of strength or strategic territory to be a lot more consistent in the drawing the wars?
Yeah.
But of course now it's a lot harder to win it when yeah you have like a lot of colonization, so maybe not this time, but that's generally definitely a big factor for me to
Yeah,
go in that
definitely.
route. But yeah, here I thought I can just of course take the Robespierre, but with the war I would never be able to get into the Republic or Conmon. But I also know that in on my next turn I can probably just take it for one civil action anyway.
Yeah,
So
that should be very
doesn't
likely.
doesn't really do anything to take it anyway right now.
Yeah, so Robespierre will be a nice transitional leader here. Will maybe hurt a little bit missing out in the first stage 3 draws, but it's still just a lot of value, so probably worth it.
And then yeah, architecture to get my maybe my urban buildings up, maybe I get computers, and just in general my rocks. For some reason, I'm on 4 rocks per turn, and I just keep having a million rocks. But they will dry up at some point, and then architecture can definitely fulfill, my bread and circuses upgrade, my philosophy upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, that certainly can help you and can potentially save a lot of resources. Then at my turn,
Revolutionary idea, yeah.
yeah, that's also helps you maybe get into architecture plus government plus maybe computers or something. And at my turn, I push again. I want to open the wealthy territory right now when I can just bid as much as I want to without having to worry about aggressions. So I was happy to see that now is the time that I can reveal that colony. I seeded a historic territory into the deck because the refugees I was not too confident about. Maybe, I mean, I have the mobile artillery, so maybe I should be confident, but I also felt like I might need to pay a bit of a price for this wealthy territory despite having Cook, at least potentially. Um, I mean, I have a colonization card and can send cards away, so there's some hope that I can win it for cheap. The freedom of movement I also didn't have a clear use for, especially if I sent a warrior away for the colonies, so the historic territory just felt like I can maybe win it with Cook and get even more culture with him, so I put it into the deck. The wealthy territory is revealed, and I was very happy to see that I'm indeed able to win that colony quite cheaply. I can now nicely transition soon into the mobile artillery tactics. Sadly, I'm missing 1 science to get into cannons this turn. Nonetheless, I'm sending the warrior away and 2 cards from James Cook. And out of the sudden, I am sitting at 13 resources, so I think those resources are so extremely useful for me, and without
Yeah,
them.
when I saw that, I was really like, okay, this is exactly what he needed. And then I laughed to myself, and I was like, should I message him saying, finally you can get the Taj Mahal down? And then
Yeah,
I decided maybe not.
yeah. Maybe you could have tricked me there into making it that I go for the touch, and I definitely considered it. I thought, okay, now I will finish the Taj Mahal. I mean, it's late, only 3 actions. It will sum up a bit of culture, but it's still expensive with having only 3 production, and especially I felt a bit vulnerable because I will actually build 2 more knights this turn, but I think even if I only build 1 and a Taj Mahal, I don't have enough resources to go for 2 cannons at the next turn, so I can only go for 1 mobile artillery tactic, and I felt like I am potentially in danger of wars if you have maybe another one, or maybe ciufile has also some potential for wars if you just
I
build
mean,
the
you
cannon.
could realize that I will want to go into Republic Conmon next turn, so I
That's
really
true.
don't want to war you at all, if possible.
Yeah, now that's certainly a good point. And I don't remember if I thought about it, but also Truefile, if he has a war and builds a cannon, is a 23 strength with Napoleon and the Great Wall, so there's some danger,
That's
and
true.
I didn't want to be in a position where I just get punished by a war here. And who knows, if I go into mobile artillery quickly, I have a war over territory of my own. I get the Colossus draw, so I felt like I could also throw away some aggressive potential that I'm having if I invest into the Taj Mahal now. So I thought, nice, I can finish this, and it will have not paid, definitely not paid off, but I will have managed to finish it. But then I came to the conclusion that, yeah, sadly I won't finish it. Instead, I build a knight, copy the heavy cavalry tactic so that I'm not too low on strength. Um, and then at the next turn, I have enough science to get into cannons if I want to, and the mobile artillery tactic. I take the cannons, I take the urban growth, and then I increase my population with the frugality 2 more times. And then I still need to get out of corruption, and I decide to build a fourth mine here. There's also a copy of coal available for 1 civil action, but it's very late, and my science I think needs to go into cannons first, or at least it could be quite nice. And I have not the most science available. I just felt like there's no time for coal. It's too late, and I have a lot of population, so let's just get a little bit of additional resource production with that fourth mine, and just maybe skip the coal and play on 4 mines for the rest of the game, hoping that it will work out somehow. And
At least you have some wealthy territory where you have +4 blue cubes. Because I don't mind playing on bronze. Like, I mean, I do mind, but the one annoying aspect is that you go into corruption so quickly in the late game.
yeah, so
So
that's true. So that helps me a little bit here. I mean, I am out of corruption now with still having 8 blue cubes lying around, so we can already see it here. And yeah, so I just decided to skip the coal. I think it's just too late. And I build a mine. I am now out of corruption, but I nonetheless decided to build an additional knight. It's maybe a bit controversial, but it makes me a bit stronger. And the main reason for it was that I can bid for that historic territory too that I've just seeded with Cook, plus my colonization card, plus the cards from Cook. Maybe I draw a colonization card with the Colossus. There's a chance that I can win the historic territory too for just a knight. And that would maybe be a cheaper way for me to get some additional culture compared to finishing the Taj Mahal for just a knight, hopefully. So I wanted to be able to bid in case that colony is revealed quickly. Instead, I was willing to build that knight, and thanks to the reserves, I still have enough resources to build 2 cannons at the next turn if I want to. I played the reserves also already this turn, just use my civil actions effectively. I didn't want to have the journalisms. Maybe I could go for them, but there's not a lot of synergy for them in H3 and they are very expensive, so I just played the reserves. I hopefully will have enough food. I will need resources, so I decided to do the commitment already here. I draw 1 card, which is the Cold War. Ciufile, after having been aggressed earlier, is now going in the aggressive side himself, but isn't successful yet. Amaj is able to defend his blunder. He builds a second farm, a second lab, so is rebuilding some of the economy that he lost because of some population losses. Finally can do that, and is taking the Republic and has to wait because of the spy. No, wait, the spy was already earlier, but yeah, doesn't
well,
have
he
enough
played
science.
this architecture, which was maybe not
Yeah.
needed,
Yeah, that architecture play maybe backfiring here a little bit.
especially when you also have double like cannon cavalry, which you can have a nice tactic going instead of this architecture.
Yeah.
Even if he would go into the Republic right now. Yeah.
No, so that maybe could have been played potentially a bit differently. Amaya takes the cannons, has the classic army tactic, but no riflemen, so maybe wants to be prepared for some other tactics. Finishes the ocean liner, and then can build some additional units, builds 2 knights, is going up to 16 strength, but now with that will lose 4 science, which is certainly a bit painful, going down to 3 now. And then we are
Now,
dual
if
turn
I had an
again.
aggression, yeah, if I had an aggression, I could consider against the Mai because, of course, he just lost all his defense cards. But I also, of course, really wanted to get into this con one. But I also didn't even draw any aggressions or war.
No.
So I did want to mention that in all these events, remember when I got the 2 strength events on me on like turn 3 or something, like turn 3 or something, yeah. After that, no strength events except for like the barbarian, I guess, and the
Reign of
and the
Terror.
minus the reign of terror. Yeah. So I guess 2, but if you look in the deck, there's like only strength events that were missing.
Yeah,
Like everything else was like grayed out. Like we went through pretty much every H1 event except for the strength events or a couple of them. So I was like strongest the whole time except for like turn 3, and I got hit by like half of it, and I gained like nothing because the only strength events that were there didn't benefit the strongest. So I was strongest for the whole game. I didn't get any events, but of course I got a lot of aggression, so definitely still profited from it. But I thought it was kind of funny.
no,
Pretty,
no, definitely.
but
Lots of events seeded and not so many strength events were among them. So what did you
okay,
decide to push then here?
yeah, this was like my first push ever, or what?
I think yes. Took a while to
It took a
H3.
while, yeah. I mean, I can't get too much culture going, but yeah, in my hand, I've actually. I need to click back because I got frozen. But I know that I have politics of strength and the strategic territory. So if I want to see those in, then I could try to win them. But I was thinking I'm kind of running a bit out of steam. Like still. Oh, and I just skipped it again. But yeah, I was thinking I'm kind of running out of steam a little bit. I peaked at the start of H2. With my top deck, the classic army, but now it's very hard to get stronger, right? I kind of just need to wait for it H3, either air forces or tanks or the modern infantry to get stronger. So I was like, I don't know if I can actually win those, so I decided to just put in civil unrest.
Okay, yeah. And the arms industry is revealed. Sadly, before I will go for the cannons, I was a bit unhappy, but on the other hand, every player gets 2 resources, so it's somewhat fair.
Yeah, and then of course, all right. So I of course want to take this Conmon, which I'm well happy to get the military actions more. So I'm happy that Amai took the Republic there. Of course, it's like the latest government of all time, which I'm not very happy about. Usually, I'm going to start of H2 and have a lot of science with my alchemy, but yeah. Finally, everything is kind of settled a bit. Of course, a little bit low on science production. Actually, I'm low on quite a few things. Yeah, no, I remember I was thinking like, oh, I actually really need either computers or oil to really get nice production going to actually have some late game ideas.
No, you're certainly
But
running out a little bit of things, but now the 8 civil actions can, of course, take you maybe somewhere. But it's certainly, if you don't get the right things, maybe it could go into the wrong direction here.
which is kind of interesting. I feel like my civilization was very efficient, but I think it is just. I mean, when I normally go for alchemy, you get the early government. You get 2, 3 CA per turn. That is just so much value that you're missing out on. And plus rocks to my name for like the whole game somehow. So I don't know. I've been having high resource, having aggressions every turn, but not where my civilization normally is. Normally I have like 6. Well, usually at least like 666, or yeah, maybe even more than that, like 696 or something. That's kind of my preferred with a nice, of course, H2 government. So I'm definitely quite a bit behind actually. Um, you also like to do an overview at the start of H3 sometimes.
Yeah, maybe at the end of
Maybe
your
we can
turn,
look at that.
we
Yeah,
can do that. So let's maybe quickly
sounds
finish your
good.
turn.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. I just took a bunch of yellow cards because I just want to upgrade my civilization, but there's nothing really to do at the moment. So yeah, I don't really know. Like I don't have any food. I can't make anything. There's no text that I can really take. I don't really need strategy because I have like a million MA already.
No, I
So
mean,
yeah.
maybe it could be considered to just get a 2 draws this turn, plus 3 strength, making you a bit more threatening, but long term you maybe don't really need it that much.
Right, right. The strategy for yeah. Because I also really want to get maybe into a tanks or a modern infantry and an air forces,
Yeah,
and into maybe an oil and maybe into computers. So there's a lot of stuff that I actually want to free up on with the science. So I definitely think that's not worth this time.
no,
Also, I do have some nice yellow cards that I can pick up, which is also not bad.
yeah, that's definitely true. And then you actually pick the opera at the end. So,
What were the leaders again? Like nothing that would actually synergize with it, huh?
yeah, I
I
mean,
guess I
there's
just
the Hollywood,
didn't have anything to do.
but without any synergizing leader, that's also a bit rough, making that Hollywood worthwhile. So maybe you just wanted to have something to produce a little bit of culture.
Yeah, I guess personally, I thought I would never ever go into the strategy, but yeah.
No, I think you never know. You maybe draw wards. Can always just be a way of getting 3 additional strength. Maybe the military action can somehow make a difference. So I think there are maybe some
Yeah.
scenarios, but of course, the opera, just having a way to produce some culture could also end up being interesting. At least we have the architecture for it, so that's
Yeah, I was gonna
essentially.
say with the architecture and growth, yeah, maybe there's some way to actually do something, but yeah, can see a strategy too.
No. All right, so when we are at the end of your turn, we can indeed maybe take a look at the overview to see where things stand. And culture-wise, I think all players have produced a bit of culture. No one is very much behind. I mean, you are a bit behind because Amai really produced a lot of culture with that Michelangelo. So at the moment, you are 30 culture behind him. I have the second
This
most
is this
culture.
is this is a this is like very high for me. So I'm completely chilling.
Yeah. So I have the second highest, mainly thanks to Nostradamus and now thanks to Cook. Ciufile is a bit behind as well and has the lowest production at the moment. So culture-wise, Amai is in front, but Amai has now, especially after the war over technology, some issues. Is low in science, low in military action, so is vulnerable maybe for some aggressive stuff and can't get into scientific method at the next turn very likely. Ciufile also has some issues, can get into a government form, so the amount of civil actions should go up very soon, but also has a bit of a problem with the uprising at the moment. Maybe he even needs to destroy something at his next turn if he doesn't get help from somewhere. So I think both of them have some issues that could potentially cause problems, but if they manage to get around it or don't get punished for it, they both also. Amaya has the big culture lead going, has lots of civil actions. Ciufile will soon have a lot of civil actions, so they certainly have some decent positions here. Who knows, Ciufile could also still maybe have some military potential. For my position, I felt like it's fine. I'm producing some culture. I have at least some resource saved up. I have a good tactic, and what is relevant, I got my Colossus draw, and I have drawn some interesting stuff. First of all, a war culture. So with that mobile artillery,
Oh,
that is already very juicy and made me a bit more confident about my position. But also an interesting impact with the impact of population. With my big yellow bank now, the food production that also has the potential to be quite big for me. So I was quite happy about that Colossus draw and thought that with that maybe can hopefully navigate H3 in a way that I get enough points out of maybe the impacts in the wars to justify playing or to make up for playing on 4 mines and maybe not having the greatest economy. Also, for science production is not the greatest, but overall, with my nice yellow bank and my military potential, I felt like I have an interesting and potentially strong position. And at your position, we of course already talked a little bit about. You have not the greatest production, but at least still a lot of resource saved up as well as a lot of science. So
yeah.
that's
I can
maybe
shoot
the
up if I
leftovers
find
from all of your
something. Yeah.
the leftovers from all of your aggressions and wars maybe. So I do think your position is also definitely quite fine, but you have to make up a bit of a culture deficit. So if you maybe end up being stuck on that production and don't get a way to improve it, things could get a bit dangerous. Who knows? Maybe even the railroad could actually be interesting for you at the next turn still if there's nothing else available. Um, and so yeah, you have the most civil actions so and military actions, so that's something that you have ongoing. So I think at that point every player is still in the game and every player has some weaknesses, so an interesting position overall. Or what were your thoughts at this point?
Yeah, I kind of just agree with what you're saying. Everyone definitely has their strengths and weaknesses. Everyone has their potential. If they see certain things that they are in nice shape. I mean, ciufile has the triple tech, which is definitely something that I saw as well. So I was definitely seeing some strength potential there. Um, I think Amai looked a little bit the weakest for me, maybe with the super low science
Yeah, yeah.
and not really a great tactic. He has not really great potential to go into modern infantry. And so I was thinking, yeah, I was thinking he could definitely get into trouble if he. It's also on two MA, of course.
Yeah, and with low science it will be
See if I
difficult.
might get the strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Silva gets the strategy, but he also is gonna be a little bit low on science with all the things that he needs to do still.
Yeah,
Of
that's
time. So the question is, will they get that time? I think I have. Yeah, like if I don't get anything, then I have a very sad position. A lot of leaders or oil, then I would be doing quite fine. And yeah, we can see on your turn what happens, I guess. But
yeah.
yeah, I think definitely I was feeling okay because the MA was very low on ciufile MI, and they had some problems. So I was thinking you were looking also, of course, with your bronze mines. Yeah, basically what you said. Everyone has their issues. But I was thinking Amai looked a little bit the weakest, even though he had the culture lead. But I think all of us had some better things going, actually.
Yeah, no. So I think overall an interesting position here. And at my turn, something happens that also again shakes things up a little bit, and I was a bit unhappy to see it. I will cede it my turn. I could already put the impact of population, and I think that would be fine, but I think I started with the Cold War here because with my mobile artillery, I felt confident that I will be one of the two strongest, and I felt also that with the amount of science and science production that I'm having, the 6 additional science could make a big difference. I mean, it will take a while, but it might be worthwhile. And I opened the one event that I didn't have knowledge. So that was the one that I think ciufile seeded in earlier after I replaced Nostradamus. It's the iconoclasm, and I sadly lose my 5 culture producing James Cook, who soon could produce even more culture if the historic territory would be revealed. So I wasn't too happy to see that, and I think Amai is maybe benefiting the most from it because he can actually still go for Maria at his next turn. And you, with not really needing Robespierre any longer, I think also are one of the ones that benefit. ciufile losing Napoleon, I mean, being low in military actions could potentially bite him. So I think for him it's annoying, and I was not too happy to lose James Cook. At least I can now go for an immediate replacement with having now knowledge that this event just happened. And it also changed a bit of what I was going to do here, because with still being the second strongest, I actually felt if before the iconoclasm was revealed that maybe I will actually still get into coal and go for 2 upgrades. I also thought about the oil, but I can go for only for 1 upgrade, and the additional science cost felt a bit costly. On the other hand, I was actually thinking that the oil could be extremely helpful for you, so I was considering oil, I was considering coal. I felt like, okay,
Yeah,
I will just build up some production here and go for the mobile artillery at the next turn. Even though I also considered going into
I
cannons.
actually, I think you're lagging out a little bit for me, but hopefully it's okay. But I actually 100% going for oil. But no, I think what you did was very interesting and also made a lot of sense in hindsight.
Yeah, so oil, I think was something that I considered, especially because I think I didn't mention it yet, but the third card that I drew from the Colossus is the impact of industry, so it makes, of course, oil even more
Mm.
interesting. So before the iconoclasm, I was really tempted, but now I just have the chance to get a replacement leader immediately. For all of those lab leaders, I'm at the moment not that nicely prepared for. So if Churchill is taken away, I might need to wait a long time for a new leader. I thought about taking Churchill in hand, taking coal and going for 2 upgrades to get out of corruption and get my production going like that, but it felt a bit annoying. And I mean, I have this mobile artillery tactic, I have a war drawn, and I can set myself up in a way that I can go for quite a big war actually already at the next turn. I still have this war over territory to maybe follow up. I hopefully will get some more draws, either aggressions or wars. And with that, I, instead of fixing my production, went into a more military heavy direction here, went for Churchill, elected him, used his ability immediately. I think his ability helps me at least to make up for being only on bronze mines. And then I can develop the cannons, saving 3 resources and 3 science this turn with Churchill building a cannon. Problem being that with the last civil action I still have corruption. I thought about just accepting corruption, but at the end I decided to destroy the fourth bronze mine that I just built at the turn before, which of course
That was very funny to see.
is not so great. But that workers needed immediately elsewhere again. So I built a cannon, and I actually also revealed a tactic here, going up to 30 strength, so being threatening immediately. I don't have an aggression, but at the next turn I can declare the war of a culture and potentially build a team sports and go for 2 more cannons. So that's quite some potential, and I thought with such a big war that might justify that bit of the investment that I'm doing here with destroying the bronze mine, not upgrading my position. I also was hoping that both ciufile and amaj, especially amaj, are in a position where it will be somewhat challenging to build up military over the next few turns, so they might be in a bit of a weaker position for some turns, so that I hopefully can capitalize not only with one war, but potentially with other stuff that I might draw, maybe the war of a territory that I have in hand. So yeah, it felt somewhat expensive destroying that mine. I probably would have preferred it to see no iconoclasm and either go into coal or oil and just build up my production and be a bit more flexible, work with the impacts that I have. But I also have that war, and now that felt like an interesting direction to take. I was of course interested in what I might draw. I draw an impact of progress, which I maybe can put in also in military alliance, but I might not have time to offer that pact. At least I know that my opponents don't have it. ciufile can finally go for a government form with the Acropolis. Destroys actually a mine, so we can see here what the uprising issue did to him. And he also is getting a new leader immediately. Bill Gates makes up a little bit for having to destroy the mine, builds an opera, which is somewhat expensive. Because I was, of course, now thinking, okay, which will be the player that I declare war on? And I felt like amaj might actually be the more vulnerable one, but after the turn from ciufile, I felt like, oh, maybe I will actually go against ciufile here, because that opera investment really limits the amount of strength that he can go for. Amaj goes for Maria Theresa. I think she really is quite helpful for him. He builds a warrior, takes the modern infantry, takes this copy of computers. For expensive, but it's, I think, an interesting pick. It could be helpful for all of the opponents. And at the next turn with Maria, he's actually just enough science to get into it. So that I think could turn out to be an interesting pick. And also the first copy of computers is now taken away from ciufile. Then we are at your turn.
So I ceded the strategic territory now. I guess you lost your guy, so can win it a little bit easier. But yeah, I don't know. There's politics of strength or strategic territory. I felt like I did want to cede something because I am one of the 2 strongest, and there's some nice things that can come out. So I don't know if I really wanted to cede, but I think it was just nice to cede while being stronger. And yeah, I was very, very, very happy to see that you didn't go for the oil.
Yeah.
When I saw this oil, it was exactly what I wanted. And after this, yeah, so I just grabbed the oil. Oh, first the international agreement, of course, comes out. So yeah, will be a choice for you if you want to war someone or do something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just take the oil, and I only have 2 mines, but it's kind of perfect because I just like upgrade double mine. I got 10 resources per turn. That's kind of exactly what I like. I also have the architecture for even more. Now the computers were taken away, and I could have had the perfect computers, but there's also the professional sports, which of course is also great because yeah, it sets up well for a lot of things. The happy faces for Pierre, a little bit more strength is also nice, and there was no one else that actually has any arena, so except for you in your hand, of course. But I'm sitting in front of you, and you already have a
Yeah.
leader now. Uh, yeah, I was like, okay, that's super sick. Like I was like, okay, now I'm in a very nice position.
Yeah. I think that oil
With
certainly
the satellites, yeah.
the oil
Just
certainly improves your position by quite a bit, I think. And Yeah, the professional spots and satellites, I think, are potentially maybe useful cards for you. I am wondering if you maybe considered one specific line. I'm not sure if it is even the correct one, but I think it could be an interesting one to, instead of taking satellites and professional spots, maybe pick up a very late railroad and go up to 15 resource production at the next turn, plus getting the 5 additional strength for potential military push. Did you consider that, or was it just too late for you at that point?
For me, I didn't really thought I needed another 5 resources.
No. No, I mean it's also quite
Night
late.
for
It's
me because I'm
basically
running out of happy faces.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the professional spots especially will be extremely useful for you. So I think it's probably too important to take those, but maybe just 5 strength and basically getting the investment of the resources back could maybe be interesting if there wouldn't be anything else that you need. But probably it's a bit late at this point.
Yeah, because I think I'm also running out of like workers if I don't actually upgrade this professional sports. I would
No, no.
start to get into some real awkward things.
No, I think those upgrades, if you upgrade an arena, it just allows you to use your next 2 workers for whatever you want them to, wherever you want them to. So that's
Yeah.
probably just very important.
And the strength also, like because I don't have a clear way to upgrade my strength right now. I still need like a tank or modern infantry or air forces.
No,
So even the little bit boost of like 6 strength, it's very reasonable.
no.
Yeah.
No, but now you're sitting at 10 resource income, and I thought, oh, now your position has quite improved, and that I already was thinking about that at my turn, which is why I thought maybe I would need to go into oil here, but I decided differently. Now I could take the international agreement, but I think I have better things to do with my politics action, and I decide to go for war immediately. I could maybe wait, maybe use the international agreement or seed an impact or something, but I decided to go for war immediately and go for 2 more mobile artillery armies, which gives me quite a bit of strength. But the question is, which player am I targeting here? And I targeted Amai, who is first of all the culture leader at the moment, who also soon, the turn after his next turn, could go into modern infantry, and which might help him quite a bit with the strength. But more importantly, there's Gandhi coming down the row, which Amai can go for at the next turn. I don't have enough military actions to war against Gandhi here, so now is maybe my last chance, depending on whether I get a military theory or not, to go for a war against Amai. And yeah, with that, and with Amai also not having that much potential, I think he has actually more potential than ciufile, but maybe also not that much because of being limited military actions. So both of them have a low strength potential, and Amai has the culture lead, will soon maybe hide behind Gandhi. And with having the culture lead, I was also hoping that he might not resign. I thought it's a possibility. But at least then one opponent would be out of the game, and I only need to finish before one other opponent because the second place is good enough in this tournament format. It allows you to move on to the next round. And so I declared the war against Amai here. And was thinking that I then can afterwards maybe still punish ciufile with some military stuff potentially. I increase my population, I develop the team sports, can build an arena with the urban growth, and then I can actually build 2 more cannons with Churchill. Maybe there's a consideration of only building 1 cannon, maybe making it more likely that Amai decides to play on, giving me an additional draw, me not having to destroy the bronze mine. But I was kind of hoping that Amai would not resign here, because he might still just hide behind Gandhi and can hope that some other aggressive stuff will now then be directed against you and ciufile. So I was hoping he will not resign, and this cannon just gives me 8 additional culture. So I built that cannon. I now have just the civil actions left that I would need to take the air forces, and oftentimes that would be the correct thing to do. Maybe it would also be here, now that I destroyed the bronze mine, so I don't have enough resources to build an air force at the next turn. And I generally felt like with now being on 2 resource production, which with having destroyed another mine, I think this copy of reserves is even more useful, not even only for the resources, but also now that I am low on resource production, I was really eyeing the red cross that is in the deck, and um, the additional food from the reserves. If I use it for food, it could also help me to maybe potentially finish a red cross. And so
lagging out a little bit again. I don't know why.
okay, I can hear you quite fine.
Okay.
So hopefully
Yeah.
it will somewhat work. With my
But
last
I wanted to say, if you don't mind, yeah, that I definitely thought maybe this Air Forces was an interesting option. I also just like to deny it for anyone else, just in case they can go into it rather quickly.
yeah, that's certainly an argument. I thought that they don't really are in a position to go into air forces quickly because both need another military tech to fulfill any tactic. They both maybe need more military action. So of course, at some point, the air force probably will be useful. So it certainly could be a consideration to just take them here for 3, especially with me going for a bit of a military route. But I don't have another war over culture in hand. I have impact of population. I might hope for the Red Cross. So I felt like maybe it's more important to be a bit more flexible with the reserves. I feel like taking the air forces would maybe commit me a bit more into a pure aggressive game, and the reserves allow me to stay a bit more flexible, maybe going for the red cross, maybe having more resources to build some stuff that helps me score some culture. So I at the end felt that might be more important. And then I took the rockets just with Churchill. You never know, you might be able to upgrade a bunch of cannons at some point. So that was my last civil action. I keep all of my event cards and the war over territory as well as the colonization card. Ciufile actually goes for an international tourism against amaj. Sadly, both of them will now gain 3 additional culture reduction, which is not great to see. Ciufile builds an additional opera, so again building an opera. I again felt, oh, that's a bit greedy again from him, but he at least takes the patriotism, the air forces, so he's starting to set himself up. Is now at least threatening something like 1 positional army if he got a bit lucky with the draw, and then we can see that amaj actually resigns, which I was a bit surprised to see. I mean, I considered that it might happen, and at least I still get 7 culture and 1 opponent is already out. But I was of course kind of hoping that he would play on, that I can steal more culture from him. Of course, it looks somewhat desperate, but I think there's still some hope left for him if he maybe can go into Gandhi and I can continue with some aggressive stuff against ciufile, maybe also against you, even though I felt like you are somewhat safe, even though not completely yet, I think. So I think there's some hope left, but it would also be quite a big war, and amaj would certainly be quite behind. So especially in this tournament, I mean, you need to be second. Third place isn't really doing anything for you. So maybe amaj just didn't see any hope left and actually resigns here, which means I only get 7 culture out of the war, which made me worry a little bit with having no other war over culture in hand, that maybe I have committed here too heavily into a military direction, maybe pulled off this war too early or something, and that I now have to see how I can continue the game peacefully, but I still have some decent impacts in hand. There could be the red cross, so I can still draw some military cards, so I was feeling like there's still some ways how this game can go into the right direction for me. And then we are at your turn again after that resign.
It's my turn. Yeah, right. Yeah, Marsh just resigned. I do feel like he could always get third, but getting second seems like a far road. So yeah, I feel like he would be taking into account that only the top 2 would go through. I do have that feeling.
No,
Otherwise, I definitely would never. I mean, I would not resign because I would want to give you the points personally. But just fight for third, even though it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, it probably was the fact that he couldn't get top 2. But
no, no. Second place would certainly be a stretch, even though I think not completely impossible yet.
yeah, it's definitely. I wanted to mention one last thing because on my turn, I was actually open to an aggression from you. Well, I don't know if it was maybe nothing fancy, but I decided to make the double oil upgrade instead of getting like some stronger, because I thought even though I can't defend, you would probably want to attack other people rather than me because I was able to defend. But I think that those little bluffs are always nice to get some extra value because I just got some extra like 3 rocks from that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think the oil was just too strong. I think you couldn't play too safe at your turn.
Yeah, no, I could have upgraded like 1 oil and got stronger,
Ah,
but
okay.
I
No.
decided to actually greed the double oil upgrade because I figured that you probably don't want to aggress me. But it's always fun when you can bluff
Yeah.
a little bit, even though it's a tiny bluff. But yeah, on my turn, I have Impact of Wonders, and I still have the Politics of Strength and an Aggression, and I seeded the Impact of Wonders. Then yeah, Historic Territory comes out. I just have a very awkward. Uh, yeah, I mean you have a lot of strength, of course, and I want to be safe, so I was a bit awkward to really get more going than just one swordsman. So I just bid one swordsman, and
Yeah, I think this
yeah.
position it could just heavily backfire for you if you have to overpay for this. So
Yeah. If you decide to not go for it, then the I'm gonna upgrade my bread and circus set anyway, so I don't really want to need the happy face that badly either.
yeah, and I myself decided to only bid one unit on that. Either I win it for cheap, then I'm happy about the culture, but I didn't want to compromise my military threat too much here, and just was at the end happy that I am able to actually just win it for knight, and those 11 culture again make it that I am actually now in front in the culture score.
True. Now, of course, I was happy to see Pierre be relatively early, so I can actually get some passive culture going while focusing a bit on, yeah, being able to defend the next aggression or war, or rather, not necessarily defend it, but be stronger than ciufile so that
Yeah,
I don't get targeted.
yeah.
That is usually my game plan. So with this play, I think, what was it? Was I able to defend? I made another. Oh yeah, there were some lines here for sure that I was able to defend
Hmm.
with upgrading maybe a pro sport. But yeah, I don't know exactly the details, but I think this was kind of the best setup for sort of like the long term.
No.
Oh yeah, right. If I play the pro sports, I wanted to play the pro sports first, but then of course my science drops to 6, and then I don't threaten going for an air force, which or threaten. I mean, that's also just what I want to do anyway. So probably this professional sports I just don't have any time for at all.
No.
So that was very important. That I was like, okay, maybe if I get a revolutionary theory, I can go for the pro sport, but otherwise, I just really need the science to get the air forces going.
No.
So
So no.
yeah, I think the rest of my turns logical because of that.
No. And now after your last 2 turns, getting into that early oil and getting Pierre, I thought that puts you in a strong seat now, and it's a bit of a weird spot now with one player having resigned and the format being that the top two advance, but because now it kind of was for me always, especially with having a bit of some military options maybe available, or at least it was a territory at the moment. It was always I was thinking, okay, who is the weaker one at the moment? Who have I better chance to finish before? And with that oil and Pia, I at this point felt like you were in a better ciufile than ciufile, and that maybe I should rather hope to finish before ciufile if I don't manage to finish before both of you. And at my turn, it was an interesting question on what to do because I have the impact of population, a strong impact, the impact of progress, at least an impact with some potential, especially if the Cold War is still revealed before the end of the game. Maybe that could be a decent impact. I have the refugees in hand, which I considered seeding, especially together with the impact of population. That could be quite nice, but I also figured that depending on how much seeding is going on, there's a chance that might not be revealed, or maybe it will be revealed so late that I don't get the additional population and for the impact of population. So I could just start seeding here and try to maximize my culture like this. But I also have this Warlord territory in hand, and ciufile doesn't really have a nice way of getting stronger. I can rebuild one knight, which sadly costs me a draw when I then go for the war. Before the historic territory 2 was revealed, I felt like I can go for the Dwarven territory and I still get 3 draws going, which felt a bit cleaner. Now I would sacrifice a draw, reducing my amount of my chances to get the Warver culture, so it was quite a tough choice. Should I go for this Warver territory? But I just felt like it can do a lot of damage to ciufile and maybe allows myself to be in a position to at least finish before him, and also with that big of a yellow token swing, even though it's late, it might still heavily impact the impact of population that I want to see later on. Maybe it helps me getting a bigger red cross going. So I at the end decided to go for this Warver territory, but it was a tough call, and I really contemplated about maybe just seeding refugees in there. But I felt with you having wave, maybe soon you will go for second classic army tactic. There might even be a chance if I don't go for a war here that you could overtake me in strength at some point. So
No, I definitely think the war was very strong here,
yeah,
because the one thing which is important is that he doesn't actually have a happy face solution
that's
either.
true.
So
Yeah. And first professional sports was no, you have the professional
I
sports,
have it. Yeah,
so
so
there's
you
only
can
one
deny
left,
it
and
potentially.
no, and so I go for this war. I increase my population. I again use Churchill, as I think I might still need the resources somewhere else. Um, Especially, I will take this engineering genius that is available for one civil action, so that if I don't get a red cross, maybe despite being on so low resource production, I could actually have a chance of finishing an age a 3 wonder, another one. So I go for that knight. And then I take a bunch of cards. I still take the reserves, just having more resources also for the military available could be quite strong. Again, there are air forces for 3, but now that Amaya has resigned, there's actually 1 copy of air forces per player. Of course, it might still be
Yeah,
relevant to have an air force in time. The third one could be late, but like this, it's not as important. So an interesting case study maybe, because there's always by some players, and I think I would also be preferring it, a consideration of maybe doing a little fix and just in 3 and 4 player games adding an additional copy of Air Forces, as it oftentimes is just Swingy, who is the player who misses out in the Air Force, and giving everyone the chance to get an Air Force at some point might be quite nice. And here we basically see that in action. Every player at some
agree.
point has the chance to get air forces, which makes it still a strong card. You should still consider taking it to just make sure that if you have it available in time, but it doesn't get an automatic 3 civil action pick all the time. I mean, even at the turn before I didn't take it, so it's not always
Just keep skipping it while he says that. Yeah.
it's not always an automatic pick anyway, but it's interesting here to see.
Now, of course, there's this computers on the row.
That's true. That's something that I really thought about, and I think I might make a mistake here, because I will take the engineering genius, leaving me with 2 actions, and then I really thought about either I take one of those yellow cards. I mainly thought about the revolutionary idea, but also a little bit about the urban growth, or I take this copy of computers. Amai has actually taken the first copy of computers, so it's the last one. ciufile has just enough science to get into computers, and he has an efficient upgrade, and I felt like that could certainly be a nice option for him. On the other hand, of course, if he invests into computers here, it limits his potential on how he can defend, and maybe also on how nicely he can set up. If I take the computers away, I felt like he might maybe go into cannons, maybe as a tactic for them. If he then takes the revolutionary idea, he can threaten to go into air force at the next turn. So I felt like maybe not going into computers helps him a bit with stabilizing the military. But sometimes I just tend to underestimate Bill Gates and what he can do. and especially with the efficient upgrade, but also maybe even without it. I think the computers are just a very strong option here for ciufile, and I don't have another war or aggression in hand. If I would have another war in hand, I think that would be a valid consideration, because then indeed the computers might be potentially strong for ciufile, but might potentially reduce short
Slow.
term the amount of
Yeah.
strength. But with me only having impacts in hand at the moment, I really need to consider what happens if the game just stays peacefully from now on. And with that, I think I should have denied the computers here. I think that was a mistake to not do it, especially because one of the two H2 events that are still coming is the popularization of science that I seeded in early in H2, thinking that it would
Oh,
be
it was
would
you know, because I thought, yeah, for sure, like he made those, yeah, I mean, little spoiler, like he's gonna go into this computer, and then that I was like, oh, does he have time for it? Is it good or not? I think it's good, but it was interesting. And then I saw the popularization of science. I was like,
yeah.
oh yeah, of course, I see.
Yeah, yeah. So that seemingly safe event that I see that at the beginning of H2 will turn out to be not that great for me. But I could have denied it here, and especially if ciufile loses that many yellows, he really has some issues with the population. Might have to disband some stuff, and having those computers just maybe allows him to disband some mines while still having some decent
Absolutely,
resource
yeah.
production and still be some impacts somewhat decently prepared. So I think I should just deny the computers. I thought that the revolutionary idea could maybe allow me to go into democracy. Maybe I can make my impact of progress bigger. So, but
But couldn't you, instead of the engineering genius, do it? Because
no,
I
I
thought
think
you.
then I'm missing one civil action. So I could
Oh
also do
yeah,
it instead of the reserves, but I think the reserves are even more important than the revolutionary idea. So I think I probably should just skip the revolutionary idea, take reserves, engineering genius, computers, be prepared for Red Cross and the other
no,
H.
but sorry, wait. Oh no, no, okay, I see. No, you're right, of course. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, and so I would be prepared for all of the wonders, and I would deny the computers, and truthfully might go for a better military setup, but it might be good anyway because I don't have any war in hand at the moment. So I felt like I thought about this. I also thought about the popularization of science, but maybe I thought too much in a mindset of just there will be I will go for another war or something, but I don't have a war in hand, so I think I should deny the strong, potentially peaceful option from ciufile here. I draw two cards. It's not a war, just two tactics that I probably don't need. ciufile will go into computers, goes for two upgrades, so isn't increasing his strength too much, can at least still build a warrior, but it prevents him from losing one yellow token at least, takes the mechanized agriculture and the efficient upgrade. The mechanized agriculture maybe allowing him at some point to upgrade a farm and disband the other one, because there might be some disbanding happening for him soon. Then we are at your turn.
By the way, why did he make the warrior?
I think it
Was
just
it?
prevents him from losing one yellow token out of the war, right? Yeah, otherwise he would be at 18, he has the Great Wall, so
Right, of course.
so I would lose one more yellow token, and he already loses a lot of them, so probably things would get even worse for him then.
No, absolutely, yeah. Um, yeah, I try a nice aggression, plunder. That would definitely kind of seal the deal of his downfall a bit, but he did defend it, which was yeah, unfortunate, I guess. But yeah, apparently no one likes air forces in this game. Everyone just keeps skipping it. So I will just take this air forces for one civil action. There's a lot of nice stuff in the row here. I honestly don't remember exactly what I did. But yeah, revolutionary idea seems very strong, of course. Maybe even two if I can, but I don't think I have time for that. Instead, I just actually, I think I set up very nicely here actually, because I drew a war last turn, war over culture, and so I get the air forces now, and uh, yeah, so I try to set up exactly enough science to go for, let's see, yeah, to go for a revolutionary idea into Air Force, into professional sport, and be able to upgrade both, and then I can kill off my last urban buildings and have exactly enough resources to build all my units as well. So that was what I was setting up here. It's also a normal move because I just played double knights to get stronger, which is also very reasonable. But yeah, basically everything, including the urban growth, everything here sets up perfectly for science and rocks and civil actions and everything kind of for a big war next turn.
Yeah, I think that's coming nicely together here. Also, you being just one strength behind me, making sure that you get 3 resources out of the wave.
Right. I needed those 6 resources as well. Yeah.
So yeah, I saw the turn and I felt like, yeah, probably you have a war drawn
Or
because
sorry, I needed those 3 resources.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the 3 resources. And of course, maybe I thought about maybe you did this turn just to be safe from an aggression, but I think you could do something to be almost safe from an aggression, that it would be less of a commitment, especially because you miss out on draws. You could maybe just go for not another army, but some more strength, make sure that you get 3 draws, and especially after truthfully having discarded those cards, I think if I go for an aggression, very likely it would be against truthfully. So just to be safe from an aggression, that felt like too much for me, and I also saw that everything works very nicely together to go for those 2 air forces. So I was really hoping that you had a war,
Yeah, yeah.
because then I felt I hopefully will be able to make sure that I can um, defend against such a war. And if truthfully gets hit by that war, that should seal at least a deal for the second place for me. So I was happy to see it. Nonetheless, my next turn was quite a bit of a challenging one, because I had, of course, to consider the scenarios that you maybe don't have a war. And that actually was a bit difficult. First of all, I steal 6 yellow tokens, so definitely a big war over territory. Truthfully, having some big issues now. The copy of professional sports is in the road. It was a big consideration during my turn, but first of all, I will start the turn by seeding the
Yes.
impact of population. The popularization of science is revealed. At this point, I was thinking, dang, why didn't I take those computers away? What have I thought? And truthfully gets +8 culture against me. Also, of course, gets the Bill Gates
Oof.
points at the end. So I was thinking, oof. And
Yeah.
I was thinking that if you don't have a war, things could get a bit tricky for me. But I truthfully still have some issues. And so I thought about different things here. First of all, there's a red cross on the row. I could just take the red cross here, and with truthfully not having enough to build a step, I should get 4 steps out of it. There are 6 colonies in play, meaning that basically against truthfully I would gain 30 culture out of that wonder very likely. So that's quite a big wonder and gives me quite a big amount of points against truthfully. So the red cross is an extremely interesting thing to consider here. There is this copy of professional sports, which I don't really need, but if I deny it from Truefile, he needs to disband a lot to not have an uprising. So it really helps Truefile here to minimize the amount of disbanding that he has to do. And I really thought about the professional sports, and I can actually do both. I really considered a turn where I just took the International Red Cross and a professional sport,
That's what I considered as well. Yeah.
securing myself that wonder and securing myself the professional sports. But I saw a bit of an issue here, because I I mainly was worried at that point about scenarios where you don't have a war. But another scenario where things can go wrong for me here is that you have a war, and it sounds a bit weird, but you direct it against me, because I saw a line for Truefile, and I could basically force him into this line. If I deny the professional sports, maybe that is at the end just his best out. If he has the positional army, I thought about his turn, and I saw a line where he can, I think, set up for 2 positional armies with 1 air force. with
And
getting all of the
uprising.
yellows and so on. And with that, he could actually threaten enough strength, especially with the Great Wall also, to defend against a war. And out of the sudden, while my strength potential, even with taking professional sport and Red Cross, is relatively high, it is not enough to beat you in a war. So I felt like that could then out of the sudden be dangerous. Of course, it requires ciufile to have a specific tactic and so on, but I was afraid about it, and who knows, maybe ciufile could even be creative and just go for that without having the tactic threatening it, which could already be enough to maybe make it that you don't go for that war and maybe go for the war against me. So I was actually seriously afraid of that, and because of that I went for the military theory. However, when I saw your turn, realized that I did a bit of I missed out a little bit on something in my calculations, because I only thought about you building 2 air forces. I somehow missed out on you also going for an upgrade to professional sports. So I thought that with that military theory I'm completely safe from a war. In reality, it only makes me a bit safer from a war. I think with the upgrade to professional sports, you actually still overtake me again, but it's very close. And but during the game, I actually thought that with the military theory, I'm completely safe. Without the military theory, I am not completely safe, which was at the end a big reason why I didn't go for just professional sports in the Red Cross. And then when I go for the military theory, I can only take one of those 2 cards. And then again, what I was worried about is that you don't have a war, that you maybe just went for this turn, maybe as to be safe from an aggression or something, with maybe feeling good about your position. It could be a reasonable choice. Um, and then if I take the professional sports and don't take the Red Cross here, then there could maybe be a chance that the Red Cross is taken away by you, maybe seeing that you can deny a wonder from me, maybe with that making it that you just make it that I don't get a lot of points, and with that you secure that you have a top 2 finish. So I was quite afraid of that possibility, making it that I kind of really wanted to take the Red Cross. But there's another option. I could also deny the professional sports and actually take the space flight, and I could finish the space flight at the next turn, which could even be nice because I've seeded the impact of population. So not having to finish a wonder with food could even be beneficial, but it only works in theory, because in reality I need that many civil actions to finish the space flight that I can maybe increase my population once or something, I realize. So doesn't really help for that, but that was also another consideration. I could deny the professional sports and take the space flight. At the end, I decided to leave ciufile, the professional sports, because I felt like investing into it and preventing the uprising doesn't come without a cost for him. He invests 7 science into it, meaning he's 1 science short of either developing cavalrymen and cannons, and it might be the last turn for him to get into those technologies. There are still some tanks in the game, 1 copy of rocket, but when he loses those techs, it might get a bit close civil action wise, maybe also resource wise, with those H3 techs being more expensive. So he might be quite a bit more in danger militarily if he goes for the professional sports. Of course, I really have to be afraid of maybe of you not having a war, and then it's just good for him to get the professional sports also for some impact. So I was at the end still very unsure, but I felt like just taking professional sports in Red Cross really puts me at risk of getting hit by a war myself. Not taking the Red Cross.
Really, I did not consider that you would actually think that you would be the target of the war.
As
But I
said,
guess if everything lined up for ciufile,
I
maybe.
thought it's very unlikely, and maybe I shouldn't have put that much weight into it. But as I said, when I deny the professional sports, maybe it's looking dire for ciufile, and out of the sudden he might be forced into a line where he threatens enough strength to defend, which he could do if he threatens a positional army, and then out of the sudden I could be the target of your war, especially if I don't take the military theory. It's unlikely, but I was a bit afraid of that scenario. And
Now, if I may add one more thing to your lines, I
yes,
actually thought that if you take the Red Cross, and I don't have a war, that you might just finish on top of me just culture-wise, because ciufile can take away the United Nations and the space flight will just drop off. And now suddenly I don't actually have a way to get a wonder, and you can get this International Red Cross for like 30 points. Of course, I will get 6 points, but still plus 24, and you're already up like 17, and I'm only making 10 per turn. I get one time boost 8, but you're up so many points that I was a little bit worried that I might even could be the one losing if ciufile would indeed be able to protect somehow, because he does have all these things,
Yeah.
all these technology. So yeah, now at the end, what you did, of course, I was a little bit, I thought it was a nice move, because I actually thought if I don't have the war, you can actually also just finish above me, because there's also not really any events or not any what is it called, impacts
Impacts.
seeded as
No.
well.
No.
Do you agree that you could maybe just win by culture if I don't have a war?
It's a possibility. Another thing that I also really took into account, especially also in how I use my last few civil actions, is that I might have a chance of either when I take the red cross right now, or if I maybe take it at the next turn, hoping that it won't be denied. But now I took it, of course, this turn. I was looking at this engineering that is still in the deck, and I could have, either with the Cold War being revealed, or with me playing the revolutionary idea, or with me getting 3 signs from the international negotiations, I could have a way of getting the engineering plus the military theory, and out of the sudden my impact of progress is looking quite decent, and I have the impact of population. So I certainly could see the possibility here that with the Red Cross, there's certainly the danger that maybe you could finish third. Maybe ciufile could even win then, with getting a wonder, the Bill Gates bonus, and so on.
Exactly, yeah, that's a lot of, because I mean the game is like two more turns, right?
Yeah.
It's like and I'm just behind a lot, so yeah, I think if you take the red cross, if you didn't take the red cross, then I would always take the red cross
Yeah, that
after
was
ciufile takes the United Nations. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was afraid of, thinking that I kind of have to take a wonder here. Um, yeah, because I mean, if I deny the professional sports, then truthfully has some really big issues, but he can maybe just disband some stuff, and if then there's no war, he can still maybe build some operas or something and get some happy faces back. So I, at the end, went for this line with making myself safer from a war myself, and to minimize that scenario and to get a wonder to help me in that scenario of you not having a war. So that at the end felt it was the best solution for me, but I still wasn't completely sure. I spent a lot of time on that move, and at the end still
No, I
wasn't.
looked at this move and I just spent like a few seconds on it, or like two minutes on it, and I was like, I'll let Weidenbaum figure it out. I wasn't gonna. It was like definitely the most complicated turn of the game.
Yeah, it felt quite complicated. Also for the last civil action, should I increase my population? Should I take another copy of reserves? But I don't have the civil actions to use that one anyway. It would just be a denial. I felt like being a civil action ahead is more important at the end, but I could have also played the revolutionary idea, but I might not need to do it in case I get the right events. It was so much to take into account, but at the end, I think I came up with a at least somewhat reasonable solution. ciufile Seats opens the international negotiations. He is giving me additional resources, so not the science that I might need to go into engineering. The engineering also not being in the row yet. He goes for the professional sports, takes the revolutionary idea and the military build-up, so he is using the professional sport that I left for him, which means that he is maybe more vulnerable for the military. He's not going for as much, for threatening as much, but maybe
I think that
he needs to play
I think that
towards his out here.
I
But
think not going for this pro sports would be a very nice move. Like, yeah, if you actually expect this war, which is quite likely, and you have some way to go and not make this pro sport, but actually, yeah, build up your military. I think extremely hard to find for most people.
Yeah, it
Uh,
would have
it,
been good move, I think.
would have been a really nice move. I would have been very impressed. But yeah, it's nice that you saw it. But also, I don't know if he had any tactic
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, it can maybe work even without a tactic, but of course, if he doesn't have one, it gets challenging to then commit to that line of going for so much destruction just to not have a tactic anyway, but just threatening it could already make it that you don't go for war unless you are so desperate. But all of the destruction could, of course, also just lead to him not having the greatest position. I now went for the military theorem, a bit more safe from the military. He even just gave me additional resource. I think those resources might already make the difference now,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
whether you can
that's
even
true.
go for war against me or not. So it's tough. Maybe he just needs to hope that you don't have a war, even though
Yeah, that's probably true.
it felt somewhat obvious that you have one. And you indeed have one, and you declared against ciufile, so you can now
Yeah.
pull off your well-prepared turn.
Yeah, I love, this is my favorite thing in Through the Ages is when you build up towards this nice big crescendo in the end, which is usually a war. Sometimes it's like some very nice, maybe big wonder or something like that, but and then some big impacts or something. But yeah, like setting up for this war. If I made, for example, that professional sports being like, oh yeah, I just make this professional sports because it's very useful and like it does some things, and just forgetting that I actually need the science for this air forces, then I would not have been able to get into the situation. And yeah, I mean everything just lining up perfectly. I saw here, I was like, okay, ciufile has military buildup, has 14 rocks, has 17 science, has revolutionary idea, has patriotism, has all like has every tactic under the sun. So he has all the resources that he needs, and he has some military actions. With the patriotism, he has 5. But yeah, funnily enough, the civil actions are definitely gonna be the problem here, especially knowing that, of course, he's gonna lose his H2 technologies. I don't know if he realized that, but he would have to pick up another one, and that's gonna cost him very costly civil actions. So I kind of at first thought, oh, maybe he can actually pull off some nice defense, but then I thought, okay, he actually just doesn't have the civil actions. But I would go for it anyway, pretty much.
No,
And yeah, just kind of everything works with double disband into double air force, use up my last science, my last resources, my last available urban buildings, and even the urban growth that I
and the
picked up,
last military action.
and the last military action. Yeah, sadly I do have a civil action left,
Yeah,
but I can take the reserves. Now actually I could have, with my last civil actions, done the red cross. But I saw that on your turn, while you could do reserve, then you would have to do reserve into 5 times building the International Red Cross. So I was like, I don't think you want to do that. So I can just wait. And then I just pick the reserves to get one more population out. Uh, Although I don't really have anything to do with the population, if I'm honest.
I mean, you can always build a religion or something.
Yeah, I think that's what I end up doing, which is nice. It's my last happy phase and things, or I guess probably will upgrade things. But yeah, basically, I thought I definitely didn't need to get your red cross going. But on the other hand, I could actually make it now so that I kind of force you to make all 4 stages, which is what I thought later. I was like, oh, actually, I could have done it because then he has to actually
Now
build the 4 stages, which he doesn't
maybe
really
that could
want
have been
to.
actually interesting because you are right that I don't go for the 5 stages. This is my turn. One of the reasons being that I have to again be careful to not get hit by a war if I just play both reserves for food, and I still need to play both reserves even to build 4 steps. So maybe I again it would be too dangerous for me. So maybe that could have
Yeah.
actually been interesting here.
Yeah, then I could have an extra a 6 score, and you have 6 less, of course. Having exactly 6 food in total over the 2 turns. But yeah, I think at this point, okay, I mean, yeah, it would still be nice to get first, but at least I'm guaranteed top 2. But yeah, I think yeah, that would have been probably slightly better if I was trying to get first. Well, I am trying to get first, but yeah,
No.
I thought I was being smart, but I outsmarted myself in the end.
Maybe it was one of those situations. I mean, if you build one step and I need one civil action less to finish it, that one civil action already gives me the patriotism, which maybe makes me safe. I don't have done the calculations, but maybe that could already then make me again a bit safer. But probably I again would not be able to build all of the steps. And
Yeah.
no, so you go for that war. The age actually doesn't end, so another 2 turns incoming. And I see
Oh
that.
yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, there's actually another turn for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. So impact of I see the impact of progress into the deck. Still having some small hopes that I might get the engineering at the next turn. I won't get it this turn. The Cold War is revealed, so I have some additional science. But yeah, at this point, with truthfully losing the culture, it was just all about securing that I don't get hit by a war, and then I think my second place should be secured. I don't think I have any good chance for finishing first with not going for war myself or some things. Um, so I just take the air forces, use Churchill, getting as much resource out of him as possible, getting more strength, also making it less likely that you maybe go for an aggression or something against me. I'm taking the urban growth, the patriotism, play the revolutionary idea, increase my population one more time. I can still play both reserves for food and finish the Red Cross fully at the next turn, but I expected, of course, that this time you would build a step, and then I would only need to play one reserve to build 4 steps. Maybe I can have some hope to get the engineering, and yeah, but at this point, with as long as I'm careful enough to not get hit by a war myself, and I think it is with a turn like this, I'm at 8 plus 3 from Churchill, 11 plus 12 from my yellow cards is 23, so I have enough resource for 3 more air forces, and with that I think I should be completely safe. And then
Yeah.
I felt like my second place, and with that my advancement to the next round should be secured. With my last 3 draws, I'm actually drawing another War over Culture, which is now a bit too late, but it showed up. Ciufile Seeds, the civil unrest has been revealed. That could have been quite bad if I denied the professional sport.
Oh
So
yeah, right. When you had the chance to do the professional sport, I was looking at the deck and I remember like if he takes his professional sport, ciufile is gonna have a real bad time.
yeah,
But of course you
so
didn't know.
that could have been quite big. But luckily for me, it still worked out at the end, and maybe truthfully is even a bit weaker now because of having gone for the professional sports. He copies the classic army tactic, doesn't even have the civil actions maybe to go into air forces, and takes the democracy and the rockets. So you steal quite a bunch of culture out of him, and then I think you declare the Olympic Games and yeah, go for another
Yeah,
population.
I had the armed intervention in hand, but I was like, that's the only thing that I could do. I have peace treaty and another tactic, so I was like, it's probably slightly better, or it's just slightly better to just do the do the what it's called Olympic Games now. So that if you want to aggress, then get hit by it for 8, and then I can always still aggress next turn because I don't think ciufile ever gets out of the aggression. So this is just a small optimization there,
No,
and yeah, I just do whatever I can,
no,
remove the last things.
building the one step, going for some upgrades. So no, that at this point I think the game is relatively decided. Even though, despite losing a lot of culture to the wars before I finish the Red Cross, it's not a very big difference. But I will finish the Red Cross. I have some decent impacts in there. So even when truthfully finds the perfect ones, I think it's hard for him to catch up. Maybe it could still get close. So at my turn I see the impact of competition in. Um, which is bad against you, but could just make sure that I can finish second before ciufile. The strategic territory is revealed, which makes my red cross a little bit bigger. But I was not willing to
Yeah, that was
bid on
funny
it.
that he gave you 1 point for that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the impact of colonies ends up being the deck. I'm not sure if who was the one who seeded it.
No. Did it?
I
No, there's no way.
No, wait. Maybe I'm confusing the game with another game that's happened.
Probably. Yeah, no, there's no way.
Yeah, I know. I think there was no impact of colonies, but I think just recently I had a game with a similar colony count where then out of the sudden impact of colonies popped out. I mean, we will see it at the end, but probably it was another game. I will finish the red cross, scoring now even 31 points with it, developing the rockets for potential impact of technology, and I will use my 8 resources to just go for a bunch of upgrades from cannons to rockets, as I've seeded the impact of competition in there. And I also considered I will now, with my last civil action, build the religion. Just one safe culture helps with some of my rather weak impacts like balance and variety. Happiness helps for a bunch of impacts. Also harmony, so actually a lot of impacts. That's also why I did it at the end. But what I was also considering, maybe it could even be the correct choice, would be to just build an air force in addition to going for those rockets upgrades, and put this free population to air forces, because I have no defense card at all, and this air force would make me safe from an aggression. Of course, it's extremely unlikely that you would go for an aggression against me, but maybe I should also
Just for fun, I would have done it maybe. Yeah.
just for fun, exactly, and maybe I should just make completely sure that I don't get hit by an aggression. But at the end, I thought, why would you go for an aggression against me when you have a safe aggression against ciufile? And so I just at the end built this religion, but maybe it would have been actually correct to make myself completely safe from an aggression here. And at least I would have actually scored 3 points for the impact of competition, but I think I would need to use Churchill and miss out on a 3 culture from him again. Ciufile seeds and impact of population is revealed, which is quite good for me. Not as good as it could have been if there would be no red cross, but still giving me 12 points against him, so that's quite strong. Ciufile goes for the democracy, who uses the Acropolis one last time, goes for some farm upgrades, so he has some decent impacts like balance, agriculture, science, also culture actually, so that's not too bad. And then we are at your turn.
Yeah, so now I just play my aggression. I don't really have much to do, but I did get I think that's 6 science at some point to still make the satellite, which some impacts nice, so I didn't mind that too much.
No, and I mean the
Again,
impact of
going to
progress
0
is in there.
science. And yeah, of course, I just upgrade my thing. And yeah, everything is on their place, kind of. Not much to do, I guess.
No, I mean you did play the endowment for 0 culture, so that was also an important move. Um, and
Yeah, I don't know. I can destroy something, but nothing really wants to be destroyed.
yeah, yeah, I think it's probably fine. Um, I mean, maybe you could maybe to spend a night, build an air force, mix with. I think you are still the strongest afterwards. Would improve the impact of
Oh,
competition, maybe. Um,
I mean, I will go down like minus 16 and I gain 2.
you gain
So
3, so
minus
minus 13.
14, 71 or what?
I think it's minus 13 if I. No, minus. Wait. I think we have talked for
Minus
too long. I
13.
can't do
Yeah,
math any longer. But I think
right. Minus 13.
you might actually still be a bit
72 then,
stronger.
yeah.
So maybe that could have
Yeah,
been
that's
actually
right.
something.
Yeah.
Um,
Damn.
but yeah, at this point, I mean, you have such a big lead. There is.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I didn't
it's
really
not
look
a
for the
turn.
optimization here
It's
anymore.
not
Yeah.
a turn where you put a lot of thought into. So at the end, before going into impacts, you have a 36 cultural lead before me, and I have an even bigger lead before ciufile, so positions should be relatively, or should be like they are right now. But there are some impacts to be revealed. Impact of culture is actually quite strong for ciufile, so he's catching up some points. Then there's the impact of competition that I've seeded, which is best for you, but gives me some points against ciufile. And then there is the impact of colonies, so I wasn't misremembering
wait.
it.
I mean, I mean, if you didn't see it, I was like, there's no way, right? I mean, what?
So
Okay, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, fair is fair.
so now
You
we
got me.
know why ciufile went for the strategic territory. Maybe
Wait, he seeded that in?
I mean, it wasn't me. I think Amai also didn't put an impact in there, so
Oh, yeah, Amai did put one impact or not?
I'm not
Or I don't know. No,
sure.
that was probably another
I
game.
think
He resigned rather
I think you
early
resigned
in
too early,
H2,
but
right?
yeah,
Yeah, resigned
maybe
too
there was
early.
one point, I don't know, maybe ciufile really needed to push to hope for an event to be revealed, or maybe at some point he was hoping or thinking that he has to fight against
That was
you.
really his best his best impact with Bill Gates.
It's a bit sad. Yeah. So
Oh
not
my
a great
god.
impact. There's the impact of science, that's a good one for him again, and the last one being the impact of progress, which was seeded by me, which is not that big now that I didn't get the engineering, but still a neutral impact. And at the end, you are able to win this game. I finished second, which is enough to advance to the next round. ciufile finishing third, and Amai already resigned a bit at the beginning of H3. So yeah, at the end,
Yeah.
we both managed to come through to the next round. I think it was quite an interesting game, some interesting stuff going on. My set Taj Mahal pick, playing on bronze mines, getting a lot of colonies, and you going for those many aggressions wars, a big Barbarossa game. So I think an interesting game to cover.
Yeah, for sure. And of course the war that got resigned into. So I definitely felt like you also deserved to get second or even first, but go through with uh, with that setback.
Yeah,
Um,
that
I
resignation
was gonna say, yeah,
certainly made things a bit spicier, and
it was
maybe
very spicy because of it. Yeah, because we were pretty equal until the war. If you take away this war, like minus 40 and plus 40, then suddenly you can see that I'm at 200 and he is at 200 as well, pretty much.
no,
So that would have been very close. But yeah, one last thing is the only impact that I could see it was impact of wonder, and that was not even positive for me. So I didn't get any points from my impacts, but I got a lot of points from your impacts.
yeah,
Plus 31 from the competition and plus 16 from the population. So suddenly the impacts looked very good, and then the impacts also looked good for you, but it was because of ciufile putting in the plus 15. So
yeah.
everyone was just cheating for each other apparently. Not really sure what's going on there, but yeah, no, I really thought this game was very interesting. Yeah.
No, and
Also with the start being very low on strength, but
no,
never getting punished. Well, he got punished by the aggressions, but not by the events. Yeah.
no. So no, with that, it will be interesting to see which will be our opponents in round three, and no, so I think with that we are at the end. I think it was quite nice. I think we had a lot of fun doing this analysis, and maybe it was interesting to see the viewpoints of two players here and some discussions about different moves. So thanks a lot for your time and for doing this analysis together with me.
Yeah, thanks a lot for you to you as well, of course. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I definitely as well, and yeah, then good luck for you in the next round. Maybe
See you
we
in
will
the
meet again in
finals,
the
I guess.
finals. Yeah, exactly. If that should happen, we can maybe do another video
Right,
continuation.
for sure.
And no, and of course, if you want to, and I'm talking to the viewers, if you, the viewers, want to see more from Pitor, then you can check out his YouTube channel, which is linked in the description. You did just publish a video, I think, yesterday or something.
Right. The World Championship is going on. I'm in upper brackets in the third, so it was a bit spicy with some timeouts. So not what I wanted to see, but I'm still fighting to get through, even though I started with 4 points against 12. So yeah, it will be a difficult road, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm covering those games.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. And yeah, then we are at the end. Leave some comments and maybe let us know where we overlooked something, or maybe could have been another line. And yeah, then thank you all for watching. Thank you, Peter, for doing this analysis. And then until we will see in us in the next video.
Bye bye.